one. Good morning and welcome to the studio. Pleasure to have you here. Hope you got your coffee and maybe a notebook. That'd be a good idea. If we haven't met before, my name's Andrew Tischler. I'm an artist. I like to paint stuff, and I like to teach people how to paint, how to improve their paintings. I love to share traditional oil painting techniques, help you improve at the easel, and we all break this down on a place, really cool place actually, probably the coolest corner of the internet, called Tisch Academy. So today what I'm going to do is give you a taste of what a live stream on Tisch Academy is like. And so sit back and enjoy. I'm going to be with you live for the next 3 hours. Can you believe it? I'm going to take a couple of breaks because a 3-hour painting session is pretty hefty and you might need to take a break. I want to say a huge shout out to all my Tisch Academy members who are watching live right now. And welcome to the studio. I'm going to do the best I can to answer everybody's question. I see the live chat going here. If you're watching live right now, hit me up with a question in the live chat, but I'm going to ask you a huge favor just so I can see it. And also, so my moderator, shout out to Nick. Nick, my video guy, is here. And Nick, say hey.
Good morning.
Nick's there on the mic, and he's going to be helping me review the chat as well. And so 3 capital Q's, Q for question. All right, and just hit us up in the live stream. What are we going to be talking about today? Well, if you're familiar with my work, maybe you haven't seen me before, I love realistic, traditional oil painting. And I love the techniques of the old masters. And what I want to do is kind of break this process down and show you the start of my work and how I approach things and a little bit about how we break this down and teach this. But today we're going to be doing a forest interior scene. And so I did a thing. Last night I did a thing. I was working here at the easel and I was prepping for this live stream and I've created an underpainting. Let me show you that. So this is the underpainting for our project today. And this is called a bister, right? So this is something that some of the old masters would have used. It's a tonal approach to organizing your composition, drawing it out by hand. And I'll show you some of the references that I have here as well. But what I was doing here was using that photographic reference. You see a little bit here on my iPad. And I was just kind of putting together, it's an amalgamation of some of my ideas and little cues that I'm getting from that reference to create a story. So before we get into how to actually do this, I want to talk to you about the concept and what drew me to this scene. What it was this light, this window right here became vitally important. The way the light filters down through those trees illuminates some of the brush and the ferns here in the foreground. But just a subtle contrast, that contrast between light and dark. Well, actually, it's going to be pretty strong down here, but fading off, creating a little bit of depth. The thing I love about forest interiors is that your depth is really shortened between immediate foreground and some of that distance. I do love big vistas, but there's something really nice and intimate about a forest interior. So the photo reference that I was using, I want to let all my Tisch Academy folks know right now, you've got this royalty and copyright free right now uploaded to the live stream section on Tisch Academy. So guys, go ahead and download that to my OGs, my legends, and all of my members over there on Tisch Academy. Go ahead and download your reference, royalty and copyright free. But let me give you a look at what I was actually working from. So what we have here, and by the way, if we haven't met yet, I'm based in Wanaka, New Zealand. I don't sound like a New Zealander because I'm actually a Texan. I married a Kiwi girl. I get to live here in this beautiful country, and I'm in an area called Wanaka. And so these photographs here were taken in native New Zealand beech forest. It's a temperate rainforest. You might have similar forests in Europe, maybe some on the West Coast in the United States, kind of similar with those mossy logs. I absolutely love it. What I really love, though, is this solid canopy that can form, and then you get these selective highlights. When the daylight is just right, you get a gap in the trees. It really illuminates that forest floor with this spotlight effect, and that's what I was really going for here. And so the main inspiration is that image right in the middle. Notice that shaft of light coming through the gap in the trees? I just love that. I love the way it illuminates that foreground. But one thing that was bothering me about those trees in the center image is they're telegraph poles, basically. They're just so tall, narrow, and straight. Yeah, they're beautiful, but I wanted a tree with some character. So check out the images left and right. You get these gnarly old trees in the forest here, and some of them get these big burls on the side. They're really gnarly looking. Kind of remind me a little bit of river red gums when I spent some time in Australia, lived there for about 25 years. You'd see these really characteristic gum trees with these big bulges on the sides of the trunks. And I just thought, man, that's so cool. I want a gnarly old looking tree. And so that's what I put here in my Bister underpainting. So using that inspiration, but then just taking it, making it my own, right? So how did we achieve this? What were we using to actually do this? First step, I'm going to talk you through it in case you want to try this at home. I do show this technique in detail on the Academy, but Dan Beresford, Droving into the Light, 100%. One of my favorite paintings by one of my favorite artists, Hans Huyssen. He's one of the Australian masters, German-born Australian painter. Gorgeous painting, Droving into the Light. Everybody needs to Google that. That's one of my favorite paintings. I might have to do a master copy of that one, Dan. Absolutely. Hello to Ag Railroad, AG Railroad, or whoever. Hey, Northern California, cheers to you. Leave it as it is. It's a monochrome. Yeah, look, I do enjoy monochromes, but we're going to do something with this. We're going to push it. It's all part of the process. But let me just say, okay, look, if it's looking cool at the beginning, if you're happy with the start, then that, and I'm going to totally rip off Joe Paquette here, but I learned by working with him in the field. You might have seen some of the videos where I'm painting with him plein air here in New Zealand. We brought him over to New Zealand, we're showing him the landscape. It was so epic. It was really cool. But one thing he kept saying was a good start leads to a good finish. So if you're happy with the start, that's a good sign. And I follow a process, right? And so if I can see that it's working in those initial stages, then I feel pretty confident that that next phase is going to work. I have another chance to evaluate it in the next phase. And then the final detail phase, that's just adding that little bit of garnish on top, like a little bit of Salt Bay right there on top at the end. So if you're saying, hey, leave it as is, I'm blessed. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But wait till you see what we're going to do with this. So the underpainting, we start off with an imprimatura. Fancy word, but it's just a layer of color. And it's a burnt umber that I was using for the imprimatura. I brush that on in a very fluid manner. I actually keep my imprimatura here. I got a little jar here. And there's the brush, that's what I use. So that's just got burnt umber, a little bit of Gamsol, and some liquid original in there. So it's a very fluid, soupy mixture. I put that on there. I then wipe it down and try and remove as much as I can with a microfiber cloth. Okay, so then from there, I then start applying color. And the Bister process, it's about laying some color on and removing color. So the colors that I was using here are actually, over here on the palette, transparent red oxide and ultramarine blue. Those go together to make a really nice earthy black. Depending on how much red oxide you use, you can push it towards the red, or you can push it towards a cooler brown, the more ultramarine that you use. And so I was applying some of those marks, and then with a little bit of Gamsol on the brush, just applying that, removing it, revealing some of those highlights. So I'd go in with the brush, just like so, little flat here, right? It's completely dry now, so this is not gonna work so well. Wow, it's a little tacky, but I'd go like so. Check this out. I'd get in here and I'd say, oh, look, let's just get a little leaf up in there. Let's get a little bit of that business, or a shelf of leaves or some branches, like so. And I just start removing material, come in with my microfiber cloth and just pat it on down, and I can remove some lighter passages in my painting. So that catches us up right now. So what's the next step? The next step now is the first layer of paint. Now, ordinarily, what I tend to work on here in the studio is a three-part process. I split this down into 3 parts. Blocking in, which establishes our scene. modeling over the top of that block-in layer, which is a little more refinement in the mark making, just fleshing it out a little bit more, and then final detail, that third phase. Now the detail could be stretched out into 5 or 6 passes, but essentially I just classify that all as detail, including glazing. So block-in, modeling, detail. But where this process is a little bit different is that we've got pretty much our scene established and blocked in. So my next layer of paint is a combination of that modeling and a little bit of detail with a bit of a textural twist. So this one's going to be a little bit different for my Academy folks. If you were on the live stream yesterday, to all my Academy people out there that are watching this live, if you were on the live stream yesterday on the Academy, when we were working on our vanitas and I was working on a taxidermied pheasant, this is going to be a very similar process to that. Okay. Tacky like my jokes. Your jokes indeed, Gary. Shout out to Gary, one of our OGs over there on Tisch Academy. Welcome, welcome.
And we got a few people in the chat already this morning. It's
lots of people in the chat. Nick,
very busy. We got a few questions and everything else going on at the moment. So
yeah, talk to me.
So probably first one, your base at the moment there, is that dry?
It's tacky.
So
it's got a little bit of a stickiness to it, which I'm looking for my brushes here, Nick. So I'll answer that while I dip down here and I'm looking for my brushes. I'm gonna walk you through the techniques and process and some of the brushes here. But yeah, so it's a little bit sticky, right? And I kind of welcome that, and because it's almost going to grab this next layer of paint as I lay it down.
So you would prefer it to be at this kind of tacky stage than completely dry? Because the other day when you were working on the pheasant, it was
totally dry, right? Totally
been sitting for like a little bit.
Well,
yeah.
you can do either. You'll find if it's totally dry that paint kind of slides over the surface a little bit. But this one, I must say, I do prefer a little bit of tackiness because it grabs the paint off the brush, right? And so it's like readily just accepts that next layer of paint. Whereas if it was totally dry, you'd find it just slipping over the surface a little bit more. By the way, let me just talk you through my palette. These are the colors that I'm going to be using today. And here, there's a couple of things first that I've got on my palette. Now, one of them is, here we go, just so you can see. I've got a little pot that's at the top of my palette. That has in there Liquid Original, which is an alkyd resin. So this is a medium that I'm using. I use a little medium in my paint mixtures. It's mostly oil paint, just a little bit of medium. And I do like me some liquid. The reason why is it dries so fast. It means I can rapidly layer my paintings and build up that texture. Okay, so Liquid Original. And I've got Liquid Impasto. And those are the two main ones that I use. I have used oleopasto from time to time. It's thixotropic, which means basically the more you mix it, the more fluid it becomes, and then it immediately sets up. But that Liquid Impasto, it's buttery. It allows you to retain all the peaks and the valleys in your brushwork, which is really nice. For thinner passages, just a thin application, for more or less, a little bit of Liquid Original. Now, my rule with the medium, let me say this, if you've never seen me before, here's my rule with medium. Even with glazing, right? It's 1 part medium to 3 parts paint. 1 part medium to 3 parts paint. Now, I don't follow a fat on lean rule when it comes to Liquid Original. As long as I keep that ratio throughout my paint layers, I've got adhesion. What does that mean? 1 layer sticks to the next. So as long as I stick to 1 part medium, 3 parts paint, I've got good adhesion between my layers. Right, now let's break down the color. I keep what's called a chromatic order to my palette, which means that, it's almost like a color wheel. If you unfurl that color wheel, there's a pattern as one color moves through its family into the next, into the next, into the next. If I connect these two up, the green to the yellow, I've got almost that complete color wheel as a circle. Now I start with whatever in terms of value is lightest, which generally tends to be yellow. So I move through my yellows into my oranges, into my reds, into my violets, into my blues, to my greens. So what have we got here? To the right of the white, I got a couple of these colors. These are what I call convenience colors. They're nice to have. You don't need them, but I do like them. I got nickel yellow and nickel yellow deep. Now, when genuine Naples was a little bit harder to come by for me and the brand that I use, I shifted to nickel and I'm loving the results. So I got nickel yellow deep, cadmium lemon, a nice cool lemon. And then here I've got Indian yellow, a nice hot orangey yellow, semi-opaque. Then I've got here cadmium red light, permanent crimson, which has replaced alizarin crimson for me. This one's light fast. It's nice and transparent, but it's a beautiful, rich, cool red. And then I've got quinacridone magenta. I use this color a bunch. That is essential for the mixing of violets. Then I've got ultramarine blue. Every palette, every variation of this palette I have has got that ultramarine blue on there. I love this. This is going to be so essential for a lot of my darker tones. And then here I got some cobalt blue, some cobalt teal, and some phthalo green. Be careful for your phthalo green. It's going to beat the crap out of your other colors, but I love it and I need it. And by the way, for this painting, I'm actually going to squeeze out another color that my Academy members don't see quite as often, but I do love it. Let me see if I can dig this in here. And while I'm trying to find my chromium green oxide, maybe Nick could ask another question. We got anything else there, Nick?
Definitely. We have quite a few coming in today.
Yeah, awesome. Hit me, brother.
Sweet. From Painting Mantis. It's a good name.
Nice. Painting Mantis. I love that. I love that. What a handle, man.
It's a good one. Certain people often say copying exactly from reference material is not real art, as it lacks imagination. What are your thoughts on that?
I tend to ignore those people. Now, look, that's a great question. There's a lot of people throwing rules around, like just thick and fast. The internet's full of opinions and people sharing their opinions. And oftentimes when they're a little bit mean about it, they're hiding behind a keyboard and protected by their anonymity, right? Look, here's my approach to it. I don't mind what you're doing. Essentially, the one thing that I have as a rule for myself, but I'm not going to judge anybody, but just for me, I don't like AI. I don't use AI at all. The company that we've built here, we run Tisch Academy from here. I've got a team of guys. We don't use ChatGPT, Claude, Midjourney, nothing. I don't use it in my art, and I don't use it in my business. Now, look, we know for the purists out there that AI is becoming part of our everyday world, right? You go to write an email and it's predicting what you're going to say. So where we can, we avoid it. We've canceled all of our accounts about last year. It was, kind of halfway through last year that we were just like, no, that's it. We're not going down this road. So we got a strict no AI policy. But as it pertains to art, I won't allow AI to be part of my art. That's my only rule. But again, if you're using AI, I'm not going to judge you. I just have very strong feelings about it. So we'll just leave that to one side. As it pertains to references and working from photographs, I will use photographs. Rarely will I copy from a photograph, just because I always find there's things that I can do compositionally that will make it a better image or a better arrangement or something that captures a vision that I have in my head. So I use photographs as an exercise in information gathering. Give me cues on how those logs lay across the flat plane of the foreground, or how the ferns are going to be growing through this area, which could be from a completely different photograph. So I'm using the photographs. They're over here on my iPad. I've got them all set out here in a folder, right? And so I'll allow myself to use these and really think about it, and it's giving me cues as to the patterns in nature. But ultimately, I want to make this painting my own. Now, what I prefer is that you paint. I started off by just copying photographs, but if it allows you to just work and paint, do that. And don't let anybody judge you for doing that. If you're in a space where you're learning, great, do that. You'd be shocked how many professional artists not only use photographs, but will copy photographs and even project and trace from photographs. Again, I'm not judging them for doing that. It's not my preferred method, but look, there's a lot of different ways out there. So let's just lighten up a little bit. That's my view. Is that fair enough, Nick? What do you reckon?
I think it's pretty good. I think we were also chatting about the other day of some master copies, and even you've done one. You've done a couple actually. You've done two that have been in the gallery here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a master copy that's sitting in the gallery right now. And I'll talk a little bit about that actually. But I do master copies from time to time, and you can learn a lot by copying an old master. By the way, over on my iPad here, I don't think you'll notice this unless you've got it like really big on your TV set right now. But I have paintings in here from Peter Mork Monstead, Danish painter, landscape painter, amazing landscapes that he's done. You might be familiar with Peter Mork Monstead. And then I have here one of my favorite forest painters of all time, Ivan Ivanovich Shishkin. And so I'm looking, occasionally I'm just like, what would Shishkin do? What would Monstead do? What would Levitan do? And I'm always looking at the old masters. So in my reference files, I'll put in some of the old masters. Not to copy their painting here in this case, but I love Shishkin's textured paint applications for how he gets that mossy texture on the logs. It's nuts. And I've been blessed to see a couple of Shishkin in the flesh back in the day, 2005, an exhibition called St. Petersburg 1900. The show came over to Perth in Western Australia, of all places, most isolated city in the world. And I got to see original Shishkins. Changed my life. So I take a leaf from the old masters books where I can. So I've got some stuff in there. But I will be doing some more master copies. There's a beauty by Monstead that I want to work on. So let's go back to the palette for a second, and then I'm going to answer some more questions. So I've just added to the palette there chromium green oxide. I think I'm going to need it for this painting. It's really opaque. It can overpower, but I think it's going to make some nice greens too. Add a little bit of there. So to the left of the white, I got burnt umber, deep. Now the brand that I use is Blue Ridge Oil Colors. This guy, Eric Silver, makes the best paint, in my opinion. I love his stuff. So handmade in North Carolina, straight from his mill into the tube and shipped to you directly. There's no retailers that I know of that are stocking Blue Ridge. You order it online. Go to blueridgeoilpaint.com, check them out. Now, over here, I've got in his line, it's not burnt umber, it's burnt umber deep. Eric actually very kindly made this color for me, and I was giving him feedback on burnt umber. I was like, man, it's just too light. I need something colder and a little bit darker than what you currently have. And this thing nails it. So I use that a lot, burnt umber deep. I got transparent red oxide and transparent yellow oxide. I used to use, if you've watched some of my older videos, I used to use yellow oxide, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, sometimes raw umber. But these three earths right here will do virtually everything I need it to do. Then I got titanium white, and I've got lead white. Now that lead white, that's called Kremnitz white. Basic lead carbonate, it is genuine lead. So I have a cold opaque white, and I've got a warm transparent white. Now that's really geeking out. I know of professionals that just use titanium, and that's okay if you're having trouble getting your hands on the lead. Hey, understandable. Lead is very hard to come by. They're now seizing it at the border here in New Zealand. So you really cannot get this stuff, even in my country here where I'm painting from right now. So there it is. So maybe a good alternative. I've heard great reports about lithopone, but I digress. Kremnitz white, that's what I'm using today. I've got a nice little stash here in the studio. I'm going to use it. All right, so that's what's on my palette. That's the medium that I'm using. Should we do some painting? And Nick, you got another question here?
Yeah, definitely. A quick materials question. If you're, this is from Laura.
Yeah.
If you're allergic to liquid, is there another product you can use?
Yeah, absolutely. So I highly recommend Rublev make, so Natural Pigments is the company. I think the brand name made by Natural Pigments, Rublev. They make a beautiful product called Oleogel, which is a fumed silica mixed with oil. I believe it's linseed oil. I could be wrong. I believe it's linseed oil, but it's a beautiful gel medium, and it's, as I said, thixotropic. It won't give you the textured effects, but they do have impasto medium too. But I've used the Oleogel, and it's great. You do want to pay attention to your fat on lean principle when using that one, though. You do. So what does that mean? It means as you build up your layers, you just use a little bit more and more. But I would still, at a maximum, use 25% or 1 part medium to 3 parts paint. And then so that means in your initial stages, you're using a little less than that. So you maybe start off with 1/10 and then build it up to 2/10 and or 1/5 and then 1/4 and so on and so forth as you're building it up. Okay.
Another one. This one's cool. This is from Ollie Sig.
Yeah, cool.
So his question, he's gone, hi Andrew from Iceland, opening my first art show this weekend.
Oh, congratulations, Ollie.
Dude,
Nice one.
he says, thank you for being a great teacher inspiration on the Academy.
Oh, man,
Much
you're most welcome.
appreciated. Any tips on handling the pre-show anxiety?
Oh, dude, feel the fear and jump in, bro.
Just lean in, right?
Lean in, dude. You should see how nervous I get before shows. I've been doing this 24 years. I get nervous jumping on YouTube Live, dude. So it's a wonderful thing to put yourself out there and share your work. You know, and it's a difficult thing. Your heart's on your sleeve as an artist. You really want to do your best. But, you know, the thing is just enjoy the evening. Just enjoy the evening and just lean into the fact that it's a celebration of art. And, yeah, congratulations on the show. That's awesome. Let us know on the Academy how you do. That'd be awesome. One thing I will say as an artist, and I've been blessed to have both experiences. I've had shows that have bombed where I didn't sell a single thing, not a stitch. And I've had shows that have sold out. And so the one thing that I've learned is that your success does not define you, and your failures don't define you. Everything is a learning experience. Everything. So go in, enjoy it, and realize that it's no reflection on you as an artist, as a person. Everything's just information. Everything's just feedback. So go in, give it your best shot. Learn from this experience. The biggest thing, though, there is such a thing as a failure. It's called giving up. So regardless of what happens, and look, you can give up after success. You can give up after failure. I used to go into post-show burnout, and I would crash and burn. Even when I had an amazing experience and sold out, I wouldn't paint for like 6 weeks or whatever.
So just mental health kind of side of...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've mixed up some colors here. So I've got ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and white. That was a neutral gray that I've used here. And then I've introduced into that neutral gray some chromium green oxide and cobalt teal. So that's what I'm using right here. I'm gonna make a little test spot right here. And that is pretty dark, but that's cool. I'm gonna rock with it. I'm gonna start working over here in the distant passages, and this is gonna get weird and it's gonna get wild, and I'm gonna start throwing color. I hope that's all right. Let me just let me zoom out a little bit here.
What size is the panel, by the way?
Oh, the size of the panel, it's roughly 20 by 24. It's an odd size because this is actually fitting an antique frame. So it's a little bit of a weird size, but because I had the panel made specifically to fit this really cool ornate gold frame that I got. So it's roughly 20 by 24 inches.
Another one here with what Avanis art, I think. I probably butchered that, but
Cool.
with the amount of paintings that you produce, Andrew,
Yeah.
how do you store them so they can all dry safely?
Oh, dude, you should see my easel wall. So I'm blessed. I got a big studio here. My wall easel is about 10 meters long, and I got like maybe 20 paintings that are just up on the wall drying. And look, because I'm using liquid, they do dry pretty quick. I've got also a little stack of paintings down here in the corner that are kind of back to back, and so they're fine just resting on the floor there. The surfaces don't stick together. So it doesn't seem to be so much of a problem. I got a big easel, but you might want to invest, if you need to stack them up or store them, a little bit of baking paper between your paintings will save them from sticking together. I'm going to work in here this cool neutral gray. I'm applying it in a broken fashion right now. I'm going to add down one note. Now here's the thing with forests, okay? Forests are made up of so many different textures and colors and layers. When I zoom into my reference material, and when you look at some of this, let's just take the image on the left. That's what I'm looking at right now on my iPad. I've zoomed into that central section, and you'll see so many different qualities of greens. And you'll see lighter greens, you'll see darker greens, you'll see highlights and deep shadows. So just lay down a base note and then start working into that. But when you do it and you're working in this fashion, keep your strokes broken. Now, the other thing as well, there's a few rules that I stick to, and there's a hierarchy of visual elements that I'm juggling as I'm building up my landscape. That hierarchy of visual elements is line and shape, value, color, and edge. So as I'm following through my process, we got our line and shape and a little bit of a value set up in our initial underpainting. As I lay in my color, I'm thinking about that value as well. So keep it nice and light in the background and deepen and darken it as you come forward. That's for the shadows. For the highlights, keep them muted and toned down. And as you come forward, increase those highlights. So your range is getting increased as you come forward. That's going to give you immediate depth. Immediately. So I hope that helps. Anyway, you got a notebook, I hope. You're writing some of this stuff down. But again, we talk about this each and every week over on the Academy. By the way, heads up for my Academy OGs, legends, all my Academy VIPs that are on the VIP tier over there on the Academy. We go live twice a week on Tisch Academy, generally twice a week. The minimum time for a live stream on the Academy is 3 hours. But next week, on Tuesday here in New Zealand, which if you're in the US or Europe, it's going to be your Monday. I'm going live for 5 hours on this painting. So if you want to see the next installment, you'll have to check it out on Tisch Academy. Link is in the description down below.
It's going to be a pretty epic one, dude.
It's going to be fun.
That's a long live stream.
It's a long live stream.
Yeah, because I was thinking back in the day, you did one that was like
I think we did 8 hours.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Like that.
Ain't nobody got time for that, Nick.
It's a full sit-down day with Tisch at that point.
Yeah, you really got to be a sucker for punishment for that one.
Just hanging out watching paint dry.
Totally. Oh, dude.
Oh, dude. Rolling on cameras. Yeah, maybe I should have told you that one.
That's all right. Yeah, got it now.
Good.
I'm recording.
Question from Heather. If you use liquid, do you need to then use it everywhere and in every layer?
It's pretty forgiving. I don't think so. I would recommend it though. I think you'll get really good adhesion between those layers if you do. I would recommend it. By the way, I'm going to use something now. This one I call my fugly. Why do I call it my fugly? Well, when you look at this brush, right? This one here is an old trimmed fan brush. Trimmed because I've hacked away at it with a pair of scissors. And this gives me immediate texture and random mark making, depending on how I apply it. Now, I'm not going to be dabbing this at the surface. I'm going to try and be a little more direct, but random. So that's what I'm using here for this one. And I'm going to mix up a lighter note now and start working into it. So we lay down a little bit of a base layer of color, and I'm going to work back into that color with some of this. Now, what are we going to use here? Well, I want a little bit more warmth in my green, and I want to go tonally a little bit lighter. So I've got chromium green oxide and cremnitz, and I'm going to mix into that a little bit of Indian yellow and a little bit of nickel yellow deep. A nice muted green, but just want to add another note here in my sky. I might mix in with this just a touch of liquid impasto. Roll it off the brush, and reload so the tips of those bristles are in there. Let's zoom in here and get you. I'm working the cameras too, eh? There we go. Make sure I'm good and sharp. Is that looking sharp, Nick? You reckon?
That looks sharp to me.
Looks sharp? Yeah,
looks pretty good.
And here, I'm actually applying it in such a way. Notice I'm twisting the handle of the brush. And there's a certain quality to the way beech trees, native New Zealand beech trees, hold their branches. They form these horizontal shelves of leaves. And the leaves are actually really tiny, yeah? Really tiny. So I'll work back into that with some of this darker grayed out green. And it's just an indication of that light falling through that gap there in the distance. Let's get a little bit more of that. Cool. As it comes up, we're going to get a little bit lighter now. Go ahead and work that paint off the brush and come up. All right, Nick, we got any more questions there, bud?
We do. I'm trying to go.
Too many
There's
coming in
so
thick
many.
and fast.
They're coming in. Danielle's trying to find the references in the Academy.
They're in the live stream section.
They should be in there.
Jim Fairburn, are they in the live stream section? Community live stream chat. There you go. That's where you find your references to my OGs and my legends and my Tisch Academy members. If you want those references, you'll find them there in the live stream chat. I think that's only for VIP tier though, Jim? Okay, cool. Correct, for the VIP tier. And we'll be carrying on with this, as I said, on your Monday over there in the US or Europe. If you're in the Pacific or in Australia, New Zealand, it'll be Tuesday. As they say in New Zealand, cheese day.
Oh, bro. Question from Avanis again. I'm really bad with the names today. Anyway.
You're doing good, kid. You're doing good.
They're difficult names. Back in the day, you know, when YouTube had normal looking names, everyone's all got their handles.
Nick's doing the best he can, right?
So question was, if I have used liquid with the paint, but it won't set up, attack, or dry after 3 to 4 days, what went wrong?
Oh, well, just check your ratio. At 1 part medium to 3 parts paint, you should get a surface dry after 24 hours.
Because I was thinking back with...
It also might depend on the conditions in your studio, though, as well. I live in a very dry area. I mean, even in winter, it's pretty dry here in Wanaka. But also, we got the heaters on because it's winter down here in New Zealand right now. So we got the heaters on. So it is drying within about 24 hours for sure. But yeah, that should help. We got another one?
Here we go. From Noah.
Hey, Noah.
Will you do a tree drawing for the 100 tree challenge on a live stream?
Oh, I could do, Noah. Yeah. Would that be, yeah, dude, if that would help you, Noah, and our other members, absolutely. Yeah, we do a lot of challenges and courses that are kind of more on the longer in terms of not just the duration of the videos, but like how long we're engaged in the practice of drawing. Drawing is foundational. We've done the 100 heads over on the Academy. And these are things that just kind of stay on the Academy. You can watch my demos and then apply some of those techniques. But it's really about the practice of doing it, right? Of just being engaged in your art and doing the work, because this stuff takes time. There's no, these days we're just after the happy meal, aren't we? The instant gratification of, you know, I'm gonna turn this thing out. It's gonna be great, and then I'm gonna move on. It's a slow process. One thing that we can do though with the Academy, you'll get the benefit of that. Not only 24 years, but I've been painting pretty much since I could hold a brush, and you're gonna get that instruction over there on the Academy and be able to build on those techniques that I've been developing for a little while, a little bit. But one of the things that I still engage in here in studio are these drills. It's like going to the gym and working out, right? You don't just go to the gym and do that once. It's kind of a daily thing. Day after day, you pick up your pencil, you practice your drawing techniques. You learn to see. You get out there with your easel box. You paint a little bit of plein air. You get your subject in the studio. You paint a portrait from life. You're just constantly doing. It takes doing, right? So we've got this tree challenge called the 100 Trees. And so it's in desperate need of another module, I'm hearing, Noah. So we could also do that on a live stream. Absolutely, buddy. I've now added a touch of phthalo green. I do want just a little bit of a shadier, cooler, bluer green down here. I've got like this big tree lurking over on the edge, but I want to break it so it doesn't really draw the eye. So maybe I've got some saplings and some undergrowth here coming through. And so I'm just going to work that in there in a loose fashion. Again, follow along with a little bit of that reference.
A question here from Nikki.
Yeah.
With the, she was asking if I could ask if you have blue or red shade phthalo.
The green? Blue shade.
Blue shade.
Blue shade phthalo green. I had a tube of red shade. I don't know where it went.
So is that just a tinting, whether it's a warm or a cool balance, really?
Kind of, yeah. And with your phthalo blue, you get a green shade or a red shade in your phthalo blue. Mm-hmm. And so it just shifts it over just a notch. And when you lay it out on your palette, you can see that one appears slightly warmer and one appears slightly cooler. So that phthalo green blue shade appears cooler with it being a blue shade, shifting towards the blue on the color wheel.
Yeah, question from Matthew.
Yep.
How do you establish a sense of depth in a scene like this where it doesn't go as far back as, say, a mountain scene?
Great question. Okay. Back to the hierarchy of visual elements that I was talking about just a minute ago. If I've got line and shape, if I've got value, if I've got color, and I've got edge, each and every one of those elements is going to help me communicate depth. If I'm not adhering to that, if I'm not really paying close attention, it'll kill my depth. So what do? Well, my line and shape gives me an instant sense of visual perspective. Now, having some sense of visual perspective immediately creates, in a linear fashion, in a shape type way, depth. The drawing immediately helps you create depth. Value, as I was talking about, where that refers to how light something is, how dark something is, also creates depth. Why? Well, when you observe nature, your deepest shadows and darkest darks are going to be in the immediate foreground. And your lighter shadows, they're going to fall off and become a little bit lighter as you go back into the distance. Your highlights might be a little bit diminished, so they'll register down. They won't be as bright as in the immediate foreground. But here in the immediate foreground, they're going to appear really bright. So again, it's that range and value that I'm going to emphasize as I build this scene. But you're right, because we don't have the vast depth of a big mountain vista type scene where you've got a huge distance between your immediate foreground and background. It's truncated, it's shortened here in this type of scene. No pun intended, truncated, right? Get it? But here, dad jokes, dude, I'm full of them. So here, because of that, I'm going to just emphasize that depth a little bit more. Almost like you've got an early morning mist that is still clinging in this forest. So by applying that, that'll also really pronounce that depth. By the way, these trees might appear like they're on the same layer, but in my mind, that tree is going to be at least 10 yards, 10 meters in front of this tree here. So I'm gonna do something with the values here and try and push that back and simultaneously bring that forward. Now, color is another really interesting one. There's a term that I use called saturation. Saturation. So that just refers to the intensity of the chroma. How colorful it is, how bright it is, how intense it is. So my more intense chroma is going to be here in the immediate foreground. What's that going to do? It's going to pull this forward. You cannot pull something forward without simultaneously, by relationship, everything's relative, pushing something away. You cannot pull something forward without pushing something away. You can't push something away without also simultaneously pulling something forward. Nick, gonna cough. I'm still getting over this stuff.
There was a quick question from Eric. That one for you. It was, which canvas do you prefer to paint on, linen or cotton? I'm pretty sure for Andrew that would be linen.
I'm using linen, bro.
He's definitely a linen kind of guy.
I'm a linen kind of guy.
He's just a linen kind of guy. I don't think I've seen anything in here on on cotton.
I
for
won't
any
stoop
work.
so low.
You,
No,
that's
I'm
where you
kidding.
draw the limit.
I used to use canvas all the time, but I back in the day, I moved to Belgian linen. I was using a brand called Claessens. Now I use a brand called Bel Arti, which is fantastic.
Pre-primed.
And it's all pre-primed. This one, if you want to know, it's called 91UP. Or 91U. I think they dropped the P, but 91U, and it's it's beautiful stuff. It's gorgeous stuff. Pre-primed, triple primed. It's acrylic primed, and you can always work oils over acrylic. For my smaller works, I go for a fine weave. This one's a nice coarse weave, and I tend to use that for bigger works. But for tiny stuff like 8x10s or a 6x12, I'll use a fine weave linen.
And, let's see, Bertie was asking, what colors did you use for the underpainting?
Transparent red oxide and ultramarine blue. And by the way, if you're coming into the live stream late, hey, welcome. Hope you enjoy your time. By the way, if I haven't asked you already, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button. Help me overcome this blasted algorithm, right? And help other people see this as well. Share the love. Hit the like button. Leave me a comment down below as well if you're watching the replay. Share this to your social media. I really appreciate it. Help me spread the word. Thank you.
Cool. And then we also have another one. What do you think of water-based oil paints?
I've got a lot of people that use them on the Academy and swear by them. It's not something I have any experience with. I tried it a little bit way back in the day, but this is when they probably just came out. This is over 20 years ago. I'm not sure how long they've been on the market for, honestly, but I'm sure that it was a kind of a new craze back in the day, but now they're everywhere. So a lot of people tend to use those because of allergies or maybe just ease. Maybe the cost is a little bit cheaper. Look, you can get great results with just about anything if you're following some pretty tried and true principles. And all of this stuff I've garnered from research, from looking at the old masters, going to museums and galleries, and just trying to pick apart what I was seeing left over from the old masters' work, and just looking at it going, how did they do what they did? You can actually gather a lot from looking at old paintings in museums. But I think the approach that they have hinted at through their work, evidenced by their work, those principles you can apply to just about any medium. Right? The rules of composition and drawing and all of that, they remain almost universal. So go ahead and keep using the water-based oil paints. I do love traditional oil paint, even though some might say I'm not using a terribly traditional approach because it's got liquid in it. That's okay. I kind of bob and weave between some of these archival traditional practices and then also mix it with a little bit of modern convenience.
Because is there a convenience of traveling with the water-based over?
Oh, definitely. Well, you can't travel with the solvents. You cannot fly with liquid. So definitely. But the good thing about liquid is it's so universal that if we're to fly to the U.S., I know I could go into what is it, a Jerry's or a Blick art store, and I could pick up a little bottle of liquid. It's everywhere.
Because I remember when Joe came over.
Yeah.
He had his pack of all his paints, and he had it in a pouch, and he had a little almost like a TSA note in there going, these are paints, don't throw these out on me kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
you can get a safety data sheet that says it's safe to travel with, right? You can get one of those. So, but yeah, but he was not, when he came over to New Zealand, you remember he was not able to travel with the Gamsol. So we had to
definitely not traveling with the Gamsol.
Yeah.
I assume it's highly flammable.
Not really.
No,
I don't think it is. It's not nearly as bad as what I've seen some artists use. I've seen some artists use kerosene to clean their brushes. Good old John Crump used kerosene to clean his brushes. That's on the nose, dude.
The
He's a
kerosene.
great painter. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the OGs.
You're usually very thoughtful in that you're like, oh, I'm thinking of using oh, what was it? You're doing some retouch varnish. You're like,
Yeah.
maybe I won't won't use it on if you guys aren't cool with the smell. But
Yeah, it's a little bit stinky because it's got
it's
white
alright.
spirit. Yeah, they do tend to give me a headache. The petroleum distillates and like mineral turpentine, white spirit, even things like kerosene, they really give me a headache. So yeah, look, if it's a concern, just keep using the water mixable oil paints, but just follow the principles.
Question here from Rich.
Yeah,
Do you ever mix on the canvas or always pre-mix on the palette?
I'm actually mixing on the canvas right now. I'm mixing on the canvas right now, but I tend to pre-mix my color for the most part over here on the palette. One thing this allows me to do is I see the relationship. Let me go over to this shot here. I see the relationship between colors right here. By the way, I'm using a glass palette. This is the old shelf out of a refrigerator. I've got an old video up on my YouTube channel about how I built this. I'm still using the same dang thing. It's great. I spray painted the backside gray. So this allows me to see value and color relationship immediately. And so I'm able to gauge it here, and then I'm able to see how it's working over here. So this is my preferred method of really learning to see what is actually going on. What is the relationship between this bluish green and that yellowish lighter green right there? And I needed a little bit more blue up in here. I'll work that across.
Michael was asking, can you use a fine weave linen for a large painting?
Of course you can. Absolutely. It's just a preference thing. I find that if I need to stretch a canvas, my fine weave linen has got no give to it whatsoever. It's really hard on the hands as you're trying to stretch that manually. It just doesn't stretch. But the coarse weave does. And so there is that. I also I prefer to adhere my linen where possible, like attach it to a hard board. This thing here is on a board. So it's on a really thick ply, and it's with conservation glue. It's adhered to that ply, and it's got battens on the back side for reinforcing. It's a solid thing. It's heavy as heck.
You were saying the other day you were thinking of moving to the aluminium composite panel.
Yes, I am. I am indeed. I'm just having some issues with a little bit of movement in the panels because of the variation in the weather here in terms of humidity and temperature. It's wild swings we get here in Wanaka.
Between the seasons, yeah.
Yeah,
Because you'll
between the
find in
seasons.
summer and winter that your wood will just breathe so much here.
Yeah, it does a lot. So I'm going to be moving to ACM and adhering the linen directly to the ACM.
Gloria's had a question here. Do you use purple to show distance only on mountains? I say that because right now you're not using it.
I'm not using purple.
You're not using purple?
I'm not using purple. Well,
I
give me
should
a
feel like
second.
an
I'm about to introduce a little purple.
A little bit of purple? Just
A little
gonna
bit of
sneak it.
purple.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Now let's get into that shortly. So bear with me. Was that Gloria?
That was Gloria, yeah.
Gloria, shout out to Gloria. Thanks. Good question, Gloria. Let's we'll talk about a little bit of violet. In fact, I've introduced a little bit here, a little bit of quinacridone magenta into that blue mix. Let's add a couple of violet notes here to this. Let's do it. That could be cool. Just a hint. And that will actually, mate, I'll tell you what, that'll push some stuff back. Couple of notes. So you can see I've been applying this color in a broken fashion, just following along with that underpainting that I've established. And, looking at my reference for sure. I like to darken and break some of these vertical lines before they exit the top of the canvas because I just don't want to draw the eye up here. I want to keep your attention down here where that light is going to be strongest. But essentially in your initial stages, it's about getting it down. Put it down. Put it down. Right. Nick, hit me. Hit me with another one, bro.
There was this is a good old classic for
Yeah.
us. Berta, what do you think about canvas prep with zinc white?
I don't use it.
Don't touch the zinc.
I don't touch zinc. So I'm pleased to say that the linen that I use does not use zinc in their prep. I avoid zinc like the friggin' plague, dude. It is terrible. Terrible stuff. Can lead to delamination. Now, how it is in a prime, I can't really speak to that because I'm sure you'll be okay. I don't want to sound too alarmist about it, but I loathe zinc in paint applications, and I avoid it where possible. And so I breathed an enormous sigh of relief when one of my members years ago said, "Hey, what about the priming on that linen you're using there, fella? Does that have zinc in it?" And honestly, I didn't really consider that. And then I started doing some research, and I'm like, phew, it does not have the zinc. Goodness me. Rolling that old fugly fan brush through it, keep your marks discontinuous, broken, and random.
Talking about brushes, what brushes do you use?
I use Rosemary & Co. brushes. I love Rosemary & Co. Shout out to Rosemary & Co. You'll find those most of the time linked to the videos that I put out on YouTube. And so here I'm using predominantly Rosemary & Co. But I got to say, I don't have the heart to trim Rosemary & Co. brushes with a pair of scissors. So this is like an El Cheapo. And I've really been mean to this. My other favorite brush, though, which is not a Rosemary & Co., is my is another type of fugly. Now, this is an old chip brush that's been duct taped to a much older brush with paint chipping off it. So the chip brush, that's like 50 cents from the hardware store.
Real bristle or synthetic?
Oh, no, it's real bristle,
Real
but
bristle,
it's just, it is ratty, dude. In fact, I might use that today. I'm going to keep that out. I'm going to use that today.
Laura had an interesting one. Have you tried Artflex board to paint on?
No.
I haven't heard of Artflex before. I was like, oh.
No, I haven't. Dude, I'm so fortunate though. I mean, Rachel Linton, my framer, makes the most beautiful panels, and she continues to research and go over, the material science and work on her methods, and she's always coming up with something new as we hone in on what is my exact preferences and we've been experimenting, working together for a while now, probably going on a year. Love her work. So I tend to use these handmade panels by and she's a master. She's a master framer, trained in the UK for well over a decade in gilding. And she does all my frames, frame restoration. If she finds an antique frame for me, she just does a wonderful job. I will be making a YouTube video with Rachel at some point, and she's wonderful.
Hey,
I'm blessed, man. I got two Rachels in my life.
I was like, maybe that's the time we can squeeze in a bit of gilding work with the painting. Maybe never. Mixed mediums.
Putting gold leaf in a painting?
Yeah.
Nah, not gonna happen.
No mixed mediums here. Too kitsch.
It works. It works. But it's just not my. Maybe I'm just too much of a one-trick pony. I don't know.
It's good. Good leaning into your style. I think that's something we talked about a while back. Of like, when you're trying to find your own creative look and your own style at some point.
Yeah.
And just leaning into what you love to do, right?
Exactly. I just can't think of an application for it where I think it would be something that I'd really, want to do. I think if I was going to paint something reflective and metallic and shiny like gold, I'd paint the effect of the light bouncing off it without actually putting the leaf on there. Although I have seen it done in ways that it's very nice. Like I'll work on reflective copper panels. I got a few of those. So I might work on one like a gold panel. I saw a YouTuber a while ago put down gold leaf and then work over the top of the gold leaf. That was kind of interesting.
It's interesting.
Maybe. I never say never, you know, maybe.
Were they an abstract artist? No.
No.
Hidden beneath layers of paint.
I don't have a habit of following abstract artists. No shade to abstract artists. Well, a little bit of shade to abstract artists, but you know, get a real job.
Question from Peter. How do you paint dappling?
Dappling light, dappled light.
I'm assuming dappling, unless there's a technique called dappling that I don't know of.
I'm going to assume they mean dappled light. Now okay, look, just wait until we get a little bit into this foreground, which we'll do today. Pretty much blocked in my background. When I say blocked in, I'm going to add a bit more to that, but I'm just going to consider that my base that we can work into. You've seen the family of colors, the relationships there. And for how far we're going to push to the chroma, that's pretty muted. I always start off very muted. But that's going to be a key consideration when it comes to capturing this light, is we want to expand our range, as I was saying before. I like to work generally with warmer highlights, cooler shadows. I've seen the opposite done where you have warmer shadows, cooler highlights. That can be very effective too. But here, I like to push the warmth, the heat, and the saturation of my highlights and that brightness. And then in the shadows, have something cooler so that you create that contrast between light and dark. And so it's a relationship thing. Now, one thing with your dappled light, you just don't want to get too patchy. So you don't want to have a thing and then a thing and then a thing where each thing is equidistant, even spacing between, and they're all the same size. So creating some randomness in your shapes is essential to just create something natural looking. Your reference is actually going to give you a lot of indication on how to make those patterns work, look natural, look random. But they also need to make sense. So that one thing that I'm trying to apply to my painting here is that there's a reason for this light. And there's also, that light has an effect as it comes through. Generally, this space here behind this tree, filtering down through, it's going to be clipping branches as it comes through. And it's going to be heavier here, and it's going to be darkened off either side of the composition. Hey, I'm going to be with you another couple of hours. We're going to take a short little break here, and I'll be right back with you. And don't go anywhere, because we've got a lot more painting techniques to share with you. So, Nick, which button am I hitting? You can hit it. How about?
Are you ready to improve your art? Do you want to take things to the next level? Well, at Tisch Academy, we'll guide you through the whole process. Now, traditional art school can be really expensive, and you're going to go through all of that time, and at the end of it, are you even going to learn how to paint? You're taking a huge risk, and not to mention, you got to travel there to take those classes. But here at Tisch Academy, you can learn at your own pace, on your own time, and learn those things that actually interest you. With your Tisch Academy membership, you're going to unlock over 350 hours of exclusive video content. You'll have access to the critique videos, but most importantly, those weekly live streams if you're a member of our Academy VIP tier. Now, maybe you've hit a creative block, and maybe you've experienced that low energy when you approach the canvas because you're just not sure what to do. I get it. I've been there too. But I guarantee that Tisch Academy will see your art soaring to new heights. Now, that's a bold claim, I know. Don't just take my word for it. Here's Daniel, who's experienced massive results from taking our courses on Tisch Academy.
If people just get on my Instagram and scroll down to the bottom and see what my first works were to now, you've just changed my life. I think you've got so many tools on the Academy that anyone that goes on there is going to be successful in their own personal way. And when I start painting and do something like this that I never thought I could do 3 years ago, there's no way. I don't know, it's got more of a meaning to life now, and now I have goals.
Now, I'm so inspired by Daniel. He's kicking massive goals. Now, here's Penny, who's experienced similar things from Tisch Academy.
I have painted for a long time, actually, but I felt kind of stuck. You know, I kept doing the same things, and I didn't feel like I was progressing. And so when I found Andrew's videos and then later joined the Academy, I learned some concrete things, like it was my composition that I'm off. And I learned some steps where I could go, oh, okay, that makes a difference. And in an encouraging community, I would put a piece up, a photo of what I did, and got some really good feedback, encouraging feedback.
Now here's Swati, who's learned from our tutorials and has applied that to her own art and is now creating bigger, more ambitious work.
Hi, I'm Swati from India. I always wanted to be a painter but couldn't pursue it professionally, and it was more like a hobby. This is how I used to paint before. Then I took Andy's tutorial to learn more about realism and did few of his copies too, and this is one of them. It helped me a lot in understanding the concepts like color mixing and composition. This is where I am now. Thanks a lot, Andrew. You have been a great influence on me. Looking forward for your next tutorial.
Now I just love Terry from Montana. Here's what he's experienced from Tisch Academy.
Howdy, I'm Terry Hirsch from Dillon, Montana, and I became a student of the Tisch Academy with Andrew Tischler because I had a stroke 3 years ago, and part of the therapy was painting, so I took it up. To give you an idea how I've advanced, this was my first painting, and this is now where I'm at. This is our daughter, and through 4 different paints. That was it, put into that. That's what you can get out of the Tisch Academy.
Now, these are just a few stories from some of our members on Tisch Academy. Trust me, there's loads more. So if you've been putting off this vital step in improving your art, then don't wait any longer. Jump in now, and I'm gonna make it super easy for you. We offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked. If you jump in and you find that this isn't for you, then no problem at all. I'll refund all your money. Now, registering for Tisch Academy couldn't be easier. It only takes a few seconds. You're only 1 click away. There's no hidden costs and no lock-in contracts. Once you're in, you're in. And remember, it comes with that 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Click that link and join us at Tisch Academy. I'll see you in the studio.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for that. I hope you didn't suffer too much during that little advert. But hey, look, the reason I want to tell you about Tisch Academy is just because it's so awesome. We've been building this thing up for years now. We're blessed with thousands of members, getting pretty close to the 5,000 member mark, which is awesome. So shout out to the community over there on Tisch Academy. Now, right now, you can get 30% off your first 3 months by just using code LIVE. L-I-V-E over there at checkout. So get 30% off your first 3 months. Check it out. Click the link in the description down below. And hey, you'll be glad you did. It's an awesome place to learn and grow your techniques. So I hope you check it out. Should we get back to painting? Shall we? Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Okay, so now I want to start working on some of these trunks. Was it Gloria? Who was asking about the violet? Remind me, Nick, do you remember? I think it was Gloria.
Potentially?
I think it was Gloria. Anyway, it was great.
You have a much better memory than me.
You what, sorry?
You have a much better memory than me.
I don't know about that. It's early here in New Zealand. But I'm going to add a little more violet, and I want to punch just a wee bit more depth into this scene. So I'm going to use a tricky little combination here. I've got quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, and a little bit of cobalt teal, which makes a nice, cool bluish violet color. And I'm just gonna sneak through just a little bits of a smokier, hazier, cool violet note just back there to just give me a sense of depth beyond those trees. Just a hint, just a hint. So hopefully that's just gonna allow that to cool off and push back just a little bit. I'll add a little bit more here for continuity. And we're going to come back and work into those colors. And now what I want is I want some of those notes for the trunks. You'll notice that's now showing up as quite a bright orange, in a way, a very rusty reddish orange right there. So let's get some of these trunks, that big tree lurking right there along the edge, that one there, and also start working on a couple of branches, not too many, not any details yet at this stage. It's just texture and color I'm interested in now, fleshing out the scene, but a little bit more of that. And while I'm doing that, Nick, hit me with another one, bro.
Cool. Question from Michael. It seems you generally paint around boundaries instead of overlapping.
Yeah.
Have you noticed if/when that makes a difference in how things relate to each other?
Yes. Okay. There's a number of reasons that I do that. So anytime at any part of the process, I've divided my scene into zones. The underpainting really identified zones. And so you'll hear me say this on the Academy all the time, of working zone to zone, edge to edge. So it didn't make much sense to me to come in and try and overpower all of that color. And let's say I went over this section right here with that greenery that it was in the forest beyond, over that tree trunk. I would have to overcome all of that green, take that into account, try and affect change over the top of wet paint, which can be done. But I'm going for speed here as well. And so I can rapidly just knock that tree trunk in there without having to worry about clouding and muddying up my colors with all of that existing green. Now, the color that I'm using here is burnt umber deep and a little bit of ultramarine blue and a touch of Cremnitz white to just make sure that it's a nice light, muted, almost gray note. There is a little bit of green in there, but I just bring that edge over and establish that tree and just make sure I cover some of that imprimatura, that underpainting, my bistre. Now, there will be an occasion where I will start to, clip some of those colors and it will incorporate. But essentially, by working zone to zone, edge to edge, you're going to find you're going to create something, a block in, much faster. That just, it's almost like painting the entire sky, because I know there's a sky back there, and then trying to lay leaves over the top of that sky. So here in this case, I blocked in most of my scene. I don't have any sky currently. But if I did have to overpaint, one thing I would do is I just mix up a little more volume. So here, let's take a little bit of titanium white, a bit of Cremnitz white, roughly 50-50 of those two whites. I like mixing my white if I'm gonna have a little more of an opaque passage of paint like I'm about to apply here. Bit of cobalt in there, bit of cobalt teal. So it's a nice light blue. And one thing I might do is come through here and with little gaps that I see in my imprimatura, let's just knock in a couple of sky holes, shall we? Michael, great question. I hope that answers it. We got another one there?
We do. From Jant. I'm currently working on a drawing of the pepper cracker and a closed brown bowl of salt and a teacup on the side. Would you give me...
that's Mac.
Is that Mac, is it?
That's Mac. Mac's 10 years old, based over there in... oh gosh, is he in North Carolina? Sorry, Mac. But that's Mac. He said hi before, I think.
Way back.
Said he was using a different account
different
today.
account
So shout
today.
out to Mac.
Oh, hey there.
Yeah, go on. So what's Mac drawing?
He's currently working on a drawing of the pepper cracker, a closed brown bowl of salt, and a teacup on its side.
Yep.
Would you give me 3 tips to make it more realistic?
Oh, Mac, because it's not related to trees and forests right now, I'm going to say, buddy, because you're in direct touch with me in the DMs over on Tisch Academy, please send me a message, brother. But shout out to Mac. Mac right now is engaged in a process where he's drawing. I'm sure he's drawing every day, but I just said, hey, buddy, you gotta get to work. You got to work on these techniques and just start drawing. It's foundational. Draw everyday objects, which is what he's doing there, right? A bowl, a pepper cracker, and a whole bunch of different stuff. Just random everyday objects, but he's learning to see, he's learning to draw, and he's starting now, 10 years old, and he's smashing it. So shout out to Mac, and show Mac some love right there in the chat right now, if you don't mind. Way to go, Mac. But I'll answer that over in the DMs, brother, okay? All right, let's have another one.
Here we go from Dorinda. Any issues with walnut oil / walnut alkyd mediums? I've had better luck with it, less fumey than linseed oil. I've heard it can go rancid though.
I don't have much experience with walnut oil. I've heard of walnut alkyd. Once I'm onto things, again, one trick pony, but once I'm onto things, I tend to stick with it. So this is a method that I teach. Although I will say this year on the Academy, we're introducing some new instructors. They'll be my fellow instructors over on the Academy. We'll let you know all about that as it happens. But I'm pleased to say we got so many just amazing painters, professional artists that are working today that are just smashing it in their own right, that are going to be joining as fellow instructors. And they'll have some things to say about different mediums and approaches. Personally, I don't have experience with the walnut where I can guide you. I do have a little bottle. Based on what you're saying, if it going rancid, I guarantee that is expired by now. I'm sure of it. So I'm sorry I can't be of more help there. God, hit me with another one, Nick
Cool.
Maris.
Hillary on this one. Do you always twirl your brush as you paint, or where/when?
Yeah. One thing I think about my paint as an applicator, right? I try not to think about like the brush as an applicator. I try not to think of it as a brush. It's just an implement to smear that paint. First step is over here on the palette. We've got what we call the swish, 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 roll, pick up. The swish, swish, roll, pick up. Now with your swish, swish, roll, pick up, what is that? You're mixing here on the palette. You're rolling the paint off the brush and you're picking it up. Now that I've got an accumulation of paint at the end of those bristles, I try to be a little more direct and deliberate with my mark making here in the initial stages. And I try to get all of that paint off the brush as long as it's effective. Generally, you know, as I progress with my painting, it's about 2 or 3 strokes per brush load. That keeps my paint from getting too thin, too smeary, too blended, and it's made up more of strokes rather than smudgy application. The reason I twirl the brush, like right there, I twisted the brush as I drew it up. You might have noticed I was doing this as I drew it up and making that thinner trunk. It's because it's continually rolling that paint off the brush and it's creating a more direct, deliberate, thinner line. Glad you noticed that.
Quick one here. Is the Academy suitable for learning water mixable oil?
Yes, it is. You'll find that the materials, if you put the materials to one side, what you're going to learn is a ton of the practice of using those visual elements that I talked about. The hierarchy of that list of 4, that's it. That encompasses traditional oil painting right there. And there's a reason I break it down like that, right? So you're going to be getting that in spades over on the Academy, regardless of what medium you're using. So there's not too much, I mean, there is a bit of heavy tech talk. It's particularly during the live streams if you're using oils in a traditional approach. However, the theory is what I find is missing most of the time here in this day and age working. It's those techniques and the theory, the principle that is evidenced by the old master's work. And that's what we talk about. So absolutely, you're going to get a ton out of it. And by the way, it comes with a guarantee too. You've got nothing to lose. Just jump in, give it a shot, take a few of our courses, our modules. I would recommend jumping into the oil painting fundamentals and trying with your water mixable oil paint some of the exercises that we have over there. Guaranteed that's going to be a paradigm shift for your work. So check it out, but absolutely give it a shot. The theory applies. All right, Nick, hit me with another one, brother.
Cool. From Painting Mantis, which is more important, composition or perspective?
Perspective is a consideration of composition. I don't tend to separate those two. Perspective is an integral part of my design. How I lead you as the viewer from your foreground into the background. How do I spell this out, tell a story. So perspective is an integral part of my drawing. Now here, perspective, it's not like your typical linear perspective where we're standing on the street corner and we're looking at buildings or a road or a railway diminishing to a vanishing point on the horizon. But there's still linear perspective here nonetheless. Where I give an indication of that linear perspective is, notice this log, how it tapers out and gets thinner as it comes in. And then another one just parallel to it, reinforcing that wedge shape, leading the eye in. Notice how this tree is bigger than some of these trees here in the background. That's going to give us a sense of visual space. Even though the trees here are at various stages of their life cycle, this is a big old sentinel just standing here in the forest. This one's a little bit thinner. So maybe this one's younger than this one. Maybe this one has a taproot that's going into the water table and that one hasn't quite made it yet. I don't know. But even though their sizes change one relative to the other, there's a general trend where they get smaller as they go back. That's a consideration of perspective and is an integral part of my compositional design. So I don't separate those two. When I'm trying to, the goal for me as a realist painter is to create a convincing sense of form, depth, light, and material. What does that mean? I want you to feel the cylindrical form of the tree trunks and how one form relates to another form. The form of this old trunk down here that's laying down on the forest floor, leading your eye in. I want a sense of that form. I want a sense of depth. I want you to feel like one thing is closer than another thing, that there's space, there's actual space between those two elements. Light, I want to really capture that light that's piercing our canopy and striking that forest floor. And material, I want ferns to feel like ferns, moss to feel like moss, to the thin veil of atmosphere that separates these trunks to feel like mist. So how do we do that? Line and shape, value, color, edges. That's a whole ball of wax right there. Now, the trick is we got to put that into practice. So, dare I say, jump on the Academy? Enough with the sales, bro. Come on. I believe in what we're doing. We got the best community, bro. We really do.
Well, there's a question here of how many years does it take for someone to make a living after starting a full-time career in painting landscapes mostly?
That is completely dependent on you. Completely dependent. To make a living at this nowadays, I think that two things. I think in some ways it's harder. In some ways it's easier. Let me stay on the positive side of things. We have access to tools now that I just didn't have coming up. When I first started in my professional art journey, there was no such thing as YouTube or Facebook. Instagram wasn't, no one was on Instagram because Instagram did not exist. We have social media now, so you can build a following. You got to learn about these platforms, but you can build a following pretty rapidly on social media. I've seen artists, I've been in social media, in the social media game for about a decade now. And I've seen artists that have been at it for about a year that have far surpassed me in terms of following and how viral they're going, and they've just captured something. And my brain, I for some reason just don't work that way. I just post what I post and I try to be consistent, but man, more power to them. They're masters at the social media game. But that said, it has allowed me to gather somewhat of a following. And I'm blessed to have it, very grateful for it. But it does make it easier to put yourself out there as an artist. And so that's helped me a great deal. When I started my art journey, I was a gallery painter. I was painting commissions. I was represented by agents. And whilst you might have heard some of my material where I'm not as fond of the gallery model now, I self-represent. I have my own art gallery here in Wanaka. If you're ever in Wanaka, stop by North Lake, visit the gallery. We're open during the week. You might even be able
don't turn up on the weekend, right?
Just don't turn up on the weekend. Ain't nobody here.
You can look at the window, though.
You can look through the window. The window's very nice. We got a nice window display. But I found that social media has really helped me put myself out there. Now, look, let's say I was starting today in 2026 and I was thinking about going pro. First and foremost, my recommendation would be I'd really take one hard look at your work and go, okay, am I ready? Is it quality? And maybe you're not the best person to judge this, because I think what tends to happen with most artists is they beat themselves up and they're ready a lot sooner than they think they are, just based on the fact that us artists tend to be very hard on ourselves. Now, the opposite could be true. You could be looking at your work going, this is great, and it might not be up to scratch. Now, that was me when I first started. I was absolutely full of it, and I thought I was ready. I went to the galleries all in the Margaret River region, and I must have approached like at least half a dozen galleries saying, hey, will you show my work? And every single one of them rejected me back in the day. They all rejected me, and it hurt, and it sucked. So what I would recommend is get another opinion from somebody that you trust, not your mom, not your aunties or uncles or anybody that loves you so much, but they don't think you could bear to hear some honest feedback. I mean that one friend who you know they care nothing for your feelings and they're going to give you the cold hard truth.
So find your most brutal friend.
Find your most brutal. Who needs enemies with friends like that, right, Nick? But you want to find somebody that cares about you enough. I say that tongue in cheek, but cares about you enough to give you an honest opinion.
Yeah.
That's who you want to be talking to. And sometimes you can find somebody that's neutral. You could even approach a gallery and say, hey, look, book an appointment, never show up with work. That's what I did. I just showed up with paintings. I showed up with a car full of paintings going, yeah, it's going to be great. And I came back with all my paintings. So I would seriously book an appointment, find somebody that knows, and then just get some feedback on your work. And get an indication. Look, remember, you do maybe have to play a little bit of a game. I cringe as I say this. I cringe because I believe truly that you have to be 100% authentic. Now, where you have that nexus point, that convergence of what's authentically you and what that gallery sells, those are the galleries that you should be approaching. Don't approach a contemporary gallery where they're taping bananas to walls if you want to paint traditional landscapes. That's not a good fit. Find somebody that has the right fit. Go to galleries, go to openings, figure out what's selling, at what price point things are selling. Put forward your best quality offering that you can and start making those approaches. Or you can self-represent and start posting your work on social media.
Because there's an interesting challenge in there of going, do you start choosing, because there's a point like I've found in like the creative space where it's like at some point your hobby became your career.
Yeah.
But then as a career type thing, are you trying to create work that people want to buy, or are you creating work that you love?
I think you always have to inject love into what you're doing and demonstrate that you really care about what you're doing, even if you're working a job. You know, and that's one thing I didn't get when I was working jobs, was just showing up and being completely 100% there. I was a serial firee. I got fired from every job I had. I think what we should be teaching children today as well in school, I'm just going to go on a little rant. I promise I won't keep it too long. But we should be teaching kids how to find that thing which they really love to do and encouraging them to do that from a young age. I don't care if you bake cakes, play drums, or ride horses. Do that and figure out a way to turn it into a business so that you can be paid for what you love to do. We have got it so wrong today, dude.
Dude.
So wrong.
100%.
You know, and the thing I found is that it's really, I'm going to say something else that might really rub people the wrong way. It's not that hard. The only thing you have to decide is that you're willing to work your hardest, as hard as you can at doing it. But you'll find that when you're doing the thing you love, it's not work. When your vocation is your vacation, you never work a day in your life. So to Mac, who's 10 years old, watching over there in the US, or anybody else, if you love this, work at it and just work hard. One thing I said is, I know I'm not the best painter. I know I'm not the best. I'm probably not, I would say I might not be the hardest working. But dude, I work every day until I can't even stand up. I ask my wife, I get home and I'm just like, ugh. I empty the tank every day, dude. Every day. Why? Because I love this. I care about this. I'm passionate about this. This is my life's purpose, my mission. It's not just to paint paintings, but to teach people how to paint. And we've got a great little team here in studio. There's 4 of us here working in studio, running the art school. But dude, I love it. I love it. I love every friggin' minute of this. So work at it, put together a quality offering, post on social media, go the gallery model, experiment with it, self-represent. If you're going to do that, put some content out there. And you'll start building your tribe of people that want to pick up and enjoy and celebrate your offering. So, hey, great question. Hope that helps. If you want more information on the art business side of things, guess what we have on the Academy? We got an art business course. It's called the Creator Activator. I called it that because, I believe as artists, as creators, we're little mini creators. I believe firmly that we're created in God's image. He's the ultimate creator. And so as such, we tap into our purpose when we're creating. But how do you activate that? So much of it is actually the mindset game, getting the mindset right. So it's sustainable. So you have that longevity so that when everybody else is packed up and going home, you're still going. And there's no stopping you. You've built the flywheel. You got momentum now. You're off. You're running. So many success stories on the Academy too of people that have actually done that. They've gone pro since joining us on the Academy, which is awesome, dude. So friggin' awesome. Anyway, great question. I love talking about that stuff, as you might notice.
Cool. I got a question from Painting Mantis here. Is having too much detail a bad thing or too little?
I think it comes down to your personal aesthetic. I really enjoy paintings that have got a lot of detail and a lot going on. I geek out over Dutch old masters from the Dutch golden era. Right now we're talking about Vanitas type Dutch still life paintings over on the Academy. We've been doing that on some live streams. There's a lot of details in that, dude. So I really enjoy it, but I also enjoy some really painterly applications. Now, there are 2 painters that I really love, both Russian. I love all sorts of artists from the past, but 2 painters. And the difference between them is really profound. Ivan Ivanovich Shishkin and Isaac Levitan. You look at Levitan. Levitan was very loose and very painterly and very suggestive and very poetic. And Shishkin was really detailed. I appreciate both. I'd like to be somewhere in the middle. So I think this comes down to you find your style in your voice by doing the do. Do it. Paint. That's how you uncover and find your style. And I'm going to adjust my camera. We're going to start working towards the top here. But that's something I would do is just start painting and start experimenting and notice what you like. Notice where your successes are and maybe some of those challenges are. Celebrate the wins. Address the challenges. And you'll start to hone in on your style. Now, in order to find your style, it's very simple. Forget about your style. Your style will find you as you're working, as you're authentically engaged in your craft and trying to bring your subject to life. As you work on just focusing on your subject, your style is born out of that. So try not to obsess too much on, what's the approach I take? Just start painting, start noticing. Now, I've honed in on a style that a lot of people would accuse me for being very detailed. But I've had a lot of my students, my members, and social media followers come to the gallery and see the work in the flesh and actually go, you know what? It's a lot more painterly than I thought. Because when it reduces down, when you see it from a distance, it looks very detailed, right? But when you get up close to the thing, you're like, Dude, there's nothing there. It's just random marks.
I think that's something, though, nice about the kind of medium, though, or at
Yeah.
least the way in which you apply it.
Well, I think it's both. I think the medium and the way you apply the paint, like right now I'm using bigger brushes for my block in, but I think the medium and the way you apply does definitely have that effect. But at the same time, you know, it depends on how small I want to go. Like I've got my 00 rounds here, my synthetic pointed rounds, and I will geek out on individual leaves and twigs in certain areas. So I use what's called strategic detail. So just give you a heads up. We'll talk about some of this in the second part of when we go live with this painting next week on the Academy for our VIP tiers. But what I do is I strategically, sporadically, just here and there will apply little bits of detail, and then there will be gaps in that information across the painting. And the overall accumulation of those marks, it will give you the appearance of detail without that overload of information. Scroll down to the bottom for a second.
Jump down.
Delete. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Where was this?
Do you have any galleries or paintings that we can see in person anywhere in Canada? Hey, John, no worries, mate. This is not the live stream for you, brother. Just go and watch somebody else, bud. You're all good. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Bless you, bro. There's always one, right? I've been at it too long to give a rat's. All right. Thank you, Callie. Appreciate you. Oh, yeah. I follow Alexander Babbage on Instagram. He's awesome. Yeah, the mountain landscapes are incredible. All right. Now, as you can see, in terms of value, let's just talk about value 1 second. And hopefully this will land. Are you noticing that value is a little bit darker than what's behind? That consideration and value, that deepening, darkening of the value of that tree allows this to hold a visual space in front of, ahead of those background trees. So just paying close attention to that is enough to give me a sense of depth. And in my paintings, again, I'm going for that sense of form, depth, light, and material. All right, man. Let's get a little bit more in there. All right. Inspiring you to do a forest painting. Noah, you turned out a cracker of a forest painting not long ago that we talked about in the on a critique call. So awesome, bro. I'm glad to hear it, man. I'm glad to hear it, brother.
Question from Mark.
Yeah, let's go. Let's have it.
I'm expanding my Rosemary & Co. collection mainly with ivory and eclipse. Would you recommend evergreen too?
I do love evergreen. I find though that I don't tend to use them as much. Your ivory and eclipse will do it. So the ivory are a little bit of a stiffer synthetic. So was that Michael? Was it?
That was Mark.
Mark. Okay. So your ivory is a little bit stiffer. Your eclipse is a little bit softer. The evergreen are beautiful, but I find that I rarely get them out these days. So I would stick with the ivory and eclipse. That's what I tend to use, and that's what you'll see me using on a lot of the live streams and in the demos. Love the short eclipse filberts. They're fantastic. I'm using those a bunch, particularly with portraits and some detail work. Love the ivory series, like the ivory dagger, 1/8 of an inch. It's phenomenal for detail marks. Nice and stiff, blade edge on that dagger, holds a sharp line, also a point. Very versatile brush. Beautiful stuff. So yeah, check them out. All right. Yeah, hit me with another one, brother. Hit me with another one.
Look.
I might start up the top on that tree and start bringing it down.
Get some tone color in there.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay. This is from Rich. I use water mixable oil. There is no alternative to zinc white, mixing white. Should I use oil Cribnitz white oil based?
I'm not sure how that's going to be compatible with the water mixable oil, but run some experiments and give it a shot. I'm sorry, Rich, I can't speak to that. What I try not to do is if I'm using one thing, I try to stick with that one thing. I would say just stick with titanium and avoid the zinc at all costs, if that's the case. But run some experiments and see how you go, because I mean, it could turn out to be, you know, great results. You might be onto something.
Might be a little way through it. Yeah, it's like kind of that whole thing of I assume there's different compounds put in in order to.
They must have some sort of emulsifier in order to make it, you know, water mixable. So I don't know.
Is like water-based oils kind of like the vegan equivalent, like of fake meat? It's like impossible paints.
Nick, what have you done? No, I wouldn't go that far.
It's not quite acrylics, right?
Yeah, no.
This is an interesting one. Many of my paintings ask questions instead of giving answers. Do you think a painting should communicate a clear message, or should it remain open-ended?
Whoa, that is deep. Look, I'm very obvious with the way I communicate with painting. My approach is very simple. I love creation. You know, I just love nature. I'm in awe of nature, of God's magnificent world that He's created, the natural world particularly. And so I tend to just paint that. And I look for moments. I look for some sense of story that's immediately accessible to my viewers. I paint for people, not necessarily people with an art background. I'm not interested in challenging or disturbing my viewer. Quite the opposite. I want to have something that immediately communicates and transports my viewer to a place, to feel a sense of time, place, mood, and narrative. And often those moods are positive, very positive. Sometimes they can be challenging, as in, you know, like epic vistas without a foreground that seems like you're precariously balanced on the edge of something or clinging to a tree about to fall off the ledge. But even still, hopefully that's still inspiring and uplifting and challenging in a good way. But I tend to be a little bit more, you know, in art school, when I was doing my university art degree, I was always criticized for being obvious, right? It's like, oh, Andrew, it's all well and good, but cows and gum trees have been done. It's just so obvious. I'm like, well, isn't obvious another way of saying it communicates? Well, I don't know, like maybe. So I'm doing it right then? Yeah, you know?
Like maybe you should have done graphic design.
Yeah.
It's all about visual communication, right?
And then I had another lecturer who would always tell me, he's like, Andrew, there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it for the viewer. What's in it for the viewer? And I said, well, if the viewer brings nothing to it, I guess nothing. So why don't you move on? You know? So I love landscape. I mean, I love traditional art. I love portraiture. I'm not a complicated guy. I'm a very simple guy. But I think that the truth is simple. and the truth is profound, even in its simplicity. And so I'm only driven by what pulls at my heartstrings when I'm out there in the field. And what do I love about this type of environment, this type of scene? Even if I'm kind of making it up and using my photos, as you've seen here, even if I'm doing that, like what's one way I could still make it mine and have it authentic, but it's still speaking to a particular type of place, right? So I don't know. I don't think your art needs to have a message, no. But I mean, mine does, but it's just a simple one. The message of this one, what is it? Light in the forest. End of, you know? And I like that. I think it's an absolute crime. It's a travesty that today, in today's day and age, we have people that are saying, oh, I don't know anything about art. That was never said 150 years ago, 200 years ago. Art was created. It was a celebration, and it was communicating visually to people that didn't have necessarily this conceptual art background. And I have very strong feelings about that. I'm not a huge fan of contemporary modern art, obviously. I mean, look what I do. Maybe I'm too stupid and I just don't get it, but I don't see the point in taping a banana to a wall. I just don't get it. I think there's something shady going on there with some financial tricks. I think there might be a bit of a conspiracy afoot. I don't know. Just a hunch. Moving on. Give me another question, Nick. I want to be careful I don't go too far into Rantville.
Oh, funny. Okay, here's from Jim. Do you ever use try combinations of color in your landscapes?
Try combinations of color. Like a triad of color.
I'm assuming a triad color theory is where that would come down to.
What I tend to play with a lot in my paintings are complementary opposites. I'm going to move down on my tree here. Complementary opposites. So if I have a strong yellow component or yellow dynamic, I'll go to the opposite end of the color wheel and I'll try and put something in there that's opposite. If I have a lot of green, I want to have some red. If there's a little bit of violet, I want to make sure there's a little bit of yellow. And so I am constantly playing with color and fracturing color to create a full range within my paintings. But normally I'll pull out one distinct relationship, whether it's blue-orange, complementary opposites, yellow-violet, or red-green.
Because it's interesting. Like you've got a classic in like the film kind of world. We have something we call creating a color story.
Yeah.
And so you'll see throughout an entire film, start to finish, it has a very unified kind of color language that it's using. And the classic, as you've probably seen from time to time, will be your hero character will usually be wearing blue because it is a complementary tone to skin color.
Ah.
So that's why you just traditionally, because you're working with color contrast, and it's the same thing, I think about you're working with color contrast in your scene.
Right.
There's just more techniques to add drama, depth. Marley's questions like, have any of your employees ever gotten so inspired that they've started painting themselves?
No, but Joe, my young editor Joe reckons that he's gonna try a couple of my tutorials, and in fact, we're gonna put him to it. He's gonna start painting along and doing some paintings. He's mentioned it enough now that I'm like, Joe, great idea for a video, go for it. He's edited that many of my demos now that I think he's a full bottle.
He's probably pretty well versed in the sense of he definitely knows the things.
Yeah, he knows the different stages of the process. He knows where to make those cuts. Yeah, he's a natural at it now.
There was the classic of exiting vectors. Joe's real good at spotting those.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't know about that composition. I'm like, shut up. Who are you? Get back to work.
Who is this guy?
But no, that's interesting. But I mean, Nick, maybe you could speak to a little bit more of your background, because you've got like 15 years film and television experience.
Mine's kind of mixed, isn't it? In the sense of,
so you're kind of a visual artist in a manner of speaking.
Yeah, like because I had two skills that I was good at: computers and some form of design.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go down the creative route. So that's where
Yeah.
I ran down the animation road because it's such a technical skill set at the same time as well. And I had the same problems of YouTube did not exist back in the day. The only way to learn the industry standard, which was Maya back in the day, was this big, chunky, thick book.
Wow.
And you just have to sit down, pay, it's like reading the manual, but for like software and try. So you find this in between of being a technical artist a little bit.
Yeah.
And so there's this mixture sometimes of creativity mixing with the kind of tools in order to kind of get to your endpoint. Yeah, like for me, probably my biggest struggle was drawing was always doing life drawing. That was something that I never really found naturally came to me.
Right.
Doing, and so this is where like even with 2D animation, man, that's such a skill set as well. And and trying to draw consistent images from frame to frame. It's where software does great for me of keeping consistent images. But you look at very different things too, of looking at motion and movement as well, of how that kind of communicates. So I've definitely, it's interesting the kind of painting side, because like I've had to illustrate scenery, do what you would call matte painting almost, pretty much.
Do you do that for Octonauts? That kids show?
No, not in that one. I did some character design and different pieces on that one.
Did you design Captain Barnacle?
No, I did not do. I did not. That was all. Also, that was all in 3ds Max, old school program these days.
Right.
No, so I was like, yeah, definitely spent a bit of time in the kids entertainment world, doing a bit of that. So my kids entertainment knowledge is a lot more limited than it used to be. I think I kind of left when round about when Paw Patrol was kind of kicking into the market.
Right.
Which, funnily enough, didn't realize was one of the creators of that was Keith Chapman. You may or may not know the name.
I don't. I'm sorry.
It's such a different world, isn't it? So Keith Chapman was the guy who made Bob the Builder back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's definitely entertainment world's definitely a different space, but you've always
little more chill here in the studio than back in the day.
Look, there is always a time crunch on projects within the VFX world. Not as friendly as we might like, but I think my longest working straight was, I'm trying to remember. It got really blurry towards the end. But I think it was roughly pretty much 2 days straight.
Dude. Okay. Yeah. No, thank you.
There's a point you have to have made all your creative decisions by then. And then it's doing task.
Yeah.
But I feel with what you do, you've got to make a lot of creative, like you're making creative decisions constantly as you're going.
Oh yeah, you got to, and you're constantly analyzing as you put something down. You're evaluating. You're thinking about it.
Definitely.
But also, the one thing, I don't talk about this often, but while I'm here in studio, like my brain is constantly chewing on these ideas. So I've actually had the images sitting here in my reference file for months, and I knew that once I was going to attack this, I knew what I wanted to do with it. So the painting was really already composed in my mind before attacking this thing. So which is kind of cool. I might just go ahead and move this up on the wall easel, just one rung, and adjust my cameras, because I want to get this foreground in here. I want to talk about this. And hit me with another question, Nick.
Cool. From Jesse, I just set up shop to build custom frames. So
cool.
I was wondering how important to you a scratch build frame can be.
I love making my own frames. The only reason I'm not doing it these days is just time. I just don't have time, unfortunately. So I've got a couple of YouTube videos that I've done on this. They can be wonderful. I love doing gold leafing, particularly if you find an old gnarly frame, you restore it and you can re-gild it. That's cool. But yeah, I think just you want to make sure that if you're doing that, just make something quality as best as you can with the tools that you have, just so it honors the artwork that it's going on. You take it so long and you're painting and you're doing your best, you want to have a good frame that is quality that complements that work.
Although, not disproportional to the artwork itself, though.
Exactly. But the other thing I will say is that I treat all of my frames as if they are display frames. And so I will tend to create standardized sizes with my framing, unless it's for a specific antique frame. But I know if the client doesn't want the frame, then I will paint something else to that frame. But for the most part, my sizes go, 8 by 10, 10 by 12, 12 by 16, 16, 20, 20, 24, 24, 36, 30, 40, 36, 48, so on and so forth. So your standard sizes. And most of them tend to be rectangular, whether they're portrait format or landscape format. Excuse me. But that's another tip as you're making your own frames or you're investing in frames. Sometimes you might need to bite off a chunk where it's an initial investment and maybe it hurts a little bit, but some of those frames you'll be having for a long time. I've got some frames that are over 15 years old, well older than that, but I've had them for 15 years, and I won't part with these frames. I use them for display.
There are definitely frames in that gallery that you've specifically told me that I am not allowed to sell.
You are not allowed to sell. They're going to pay a premium if they want the frame too. And the reason for that is because I just can't get those frames. You cannot get those frames anymore. And it's not that they're particularly valuable in terms of like they're genuine antiques. Those ones in there are replicas. They're replica Victorian frames, but they're so well done. You'll never get them again because they closed the factory in Mexico. They're not the old guy that was doing it was a master, and he's not in operation anymore. You'll never get him again.
See, it's I have the same problem with some cameras that I own that I like them and they will never make them again, and they're out of production. And I'm like, well, I will be sad the day that they die, but it's with your paintings. So you've got some pieces that are private collection. Is there ever a point, because like, are you holding it because you have a sentimental value to it, or eventually what would be the point in which you would choose to then sell those?
Well, I think with one of these this series of portraits that I've done of Rachel's grandparents, the reason I'm not selling them is because I like my wife and I want to stay married. And so I think when you're like me and you're punching well above your weight and you've convinced somebody like my Rachel to marry you, it's probably best to just stay in that zone and not rock the boat too much. Just keep a low profile and just get on with it. So with those paintings, obviously I'm not going to sell the Rachel's grandparents, and they're very dear to me also. Beautiful people, Dutch immigrants to the North Island, gorgeous people. And I'm really proud of the paintings, but they hold a special place in my heart and on the gallery wall as an example. But even something that is a display work can be something that that generates interest and demonstrates what you're able to do. And so I've actually gotten commissions from those portraits. So people are like, oh, I love that. Could you paint so-and-so? I'm like, absolutely. So it can help. Other works are of a little more obscure nature. For instance, the master copy of Arthur Wardle's Silent Watchers, The Lions, the demo's in full over on the Academy. That painting there, because of the nature of public domain and copyright, it's not fully public domain. Don't think I can sell legally in this country the work, but I can use it as a demonstration or a It's spent a long time looking into the IP and how that works. It does vary country to country, but I shouldn't be selling that work. So that's a little bit more of a personal nature. But I also, I'm blessed, man. Like I tend to sell most of the new stuff that I do, getting contacted continually, to buy whatever's available, which is great. So it's also hard to accumulate work, hence having stuff that's in my own personal collection on display in the gallery, where I know that display is going to be consistent and stick around for a while. Yeah. Hit me with another one. Good questions today. I'm loving the variety in the questions, I must say. So thank you. And if you haven't already, if you're watching live, please hit the like button.
Cool.
Hit the like button.
Smash
Put it out
that
there.
like
Help
button.
me with that blasted algorithm, y'all. I can't do it without you. It's called social media for a reason. Share it to your socials.
Sweet. Interesting question here. Do you believe realism has reached its limits as a language, or do you think it still has unexplored possibilities?
If it had reached its limit as a language, I wouldn't be doing it. I think that it's still valid. I think it's necessary. I think it's needed. I think in such a fast-paced world, there's two sides to this. I think one, as artists, I'll just speak for myself. I need to do this because for me, painting something like this is it's almost like a sacred practice in a way of honoring what I feel I need to be honoring. And for me, it's my creator, my God. I just feel, and I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of people that get bent out of shape when I start talking like this. You do you, I'll do me. It's all good. It's all love, all right? But for me, it's just so important. And this is the language that I use. And for me, this is an act of it's like an active prayer in a way. It's giving thanks in a way. I'm just so eaten up with it, inspired by it, and I love this. So it's not dead for me in that regard. I think because it's appreciated by so many, not everybody, and I don't think we should be in a position where we're trying to please everyone. You got to be authentic. I think the main thing is being authentic. Do what you love and put it out there to the world. And that might take some courage to do that, but it's so vital and necessary. Your job is not to be liked by everyone. Your job is just to be you, and you will find your people. Maybe I got a few of my people here that are watching right now live, and I'm blessed by that. Thank you for being here. But that's one part. We need to be engaged in the doing so that it's relevant in that regard. If you love it, do it. Therefore, it's relevant to you. There are other people that are going to appreciate it. It's relevant to them. Paint for those people. Disregard the people that it's not for, because you can't please everybody. So just pay attention to what you want to do and do it and enjoy it. Enjoy your life, man. Enjoy slapping that paint, slinging that paint down there. Do it.
I don't think I've heard anyone call it slapping the paint.
Slapping the paint, slinging the paint.
Slinging. Well,
Flinging the
I've definitely come
paint.
across you saying slinging.
Slopping the paint.
Question from Gary. When you finish a painting, do you sign it when it's wet or dry?
Normally when it's dry. Normally when the client gets it and they're like, hey, you didn't sign it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, give it back. I better sign that. Sometimes I forget, particularly with the little plein air studies. I forget to sign them.
Yeah.
But it generally tends to be when it's still dry. Sometimes I'll be so excited after I've put the last brush strokes on, it's still wet. I'll go ahead and sign it then. Normally I'm signing it with a 00 pointed round so I can get a nice inconspicuous place somewhere, maybe in the shadow of a log, just a little lift in the tone, so that my signature is something that you can find if you're looking for it, but it's not going to compete with the painting. Because at the end of the day, I want the overall scene to come through, and I don't want my signature, like my big Nike swoosh on there, to get in the way. I tend to paint the signature with a color similar to what I've used in the foreground, just to make it, you can definitely see it if you're looking for it, but it's not too prominent.
Cool. Question from Matthew. When you have quite a detailed underpainting like this, how much of it will end up showing through? And do you ever have regret when you start covering up areas that you were pleased with?
Again, it's process. Matthew, was it?
Matthew, yep.
Yeah, again, it's a process, Matthew. So I tend to look at that underpainting as a means to an end. It will always show through in little gaps, like you're seeing hints of that transparent red oxide coming through, which I love, and I might keep some of that. You'll see little gaps because it's not a continuous layer that covers all. You'll see little glints coming through here and there. I want that pop of warmth to come through, but each part of the process, it should be a deliberate way to push your vision forward. And so I don't get precious with any aspect of the painting going, oh, but I like that bit. I see it through to the end. The thing that's loudest in my mind is the goal of where I want it to go. So am I covering my underpainting? Absolutely, but I'm using it. And it was the foundation in which the next layer was built. That's such a deep question, such a fantastic question, Matthew. Thank you very much for that. Let's hit me with another one, Nick.
Cool. Chill one for you from Jim. On your wooden palette, how do you season it or clean it?
Okay, so I'm using a glass palette, not a wooden one. But the wooden palettes that I have used, the more you use them, the better they get, because if you're using something like liquid, eventually it seals and varnishes in its own way the grain of the wood, which becomes really nice. I do have another palette that I love using that was actually made by John Crump, which was part of his box that I lovingly refer to as my Crumpy. It is a wooden box that he had made, which is a beautiful giant plein air setup. We've got a video coming out as soon as I finish the painting where I've done that. A giant plein air out in the field, difficult to do. Man, he's a natural at it. I do my best. But essentially, that one was prepared with a polyurethane varnish. And whilst I'm a little dubious about the polyurethane, I've heard about it deteriorating. In the last decade, I've not seen any movement in that polyurethane at all. So there you go.
Cool. Susan was just wondering, what colors are you adding to the roots there?
I've been using a bunch of transparent yellow oxide and my cobalt teal, a little bit of the cadmium lemon. And now I'm painting some ferns. You'll notice a cooler, bluer shift in the ferns. So I've just got a little more cobalt teal coming through. I'm out of the transparent yellow oxide. Let's get a good smack of that down there and slap some of that around. Good questions today, Nick.
Definitely, dude. There's some really solid questions coming through. Jesse had an interesting one here. Do you think every artist should be allowed to choose realism, just like filmmakers get to make movies about the same stories over and over?
Yeah, my only question back is who's coming to lock you up for breaking whatever rule you might have in your head?
It's funny that the rules we put on ourselves, right, sometimes.
Well, we also make assumptions about what's okay and what's not okay.
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway, if you've got that kind of question, the one thing I want you to remember, the takeaway from this is do what you love and be totally unapologetic about it. Just do what you love. You will find your audience and it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. And if somebody comes along and that, nah, I don't like that. Well, it's not for you, dude. And by the way, it's not an airport. You don't need to announce your departure. Just go. It's fine. It's not for you. You know? Go down the road where they're taping bananas to walls and enjoy. Have at it. There's plenty of everything going on that you can find your individual flavor and taste and enjoy it.
Yeah, because it's like there's a convenience of putting your own parameters on yourself in the sense of, have you ever had the thing where you've probably had it like the option at design school or painting where someone's like, just paint anything, and you have 0 parameters and you can choose anything, and it makes it really hard to make a decision.
Yeah, I had a little bit of that in university, and but there was like almost an unspoken rule beyond that. It's like, paint anything, do what you want, be free, be just uninhibited and just go for it and have fun and make a mess and it's great. And then you would do something and they'd be like, nah, that's not right. I'm like, she told me I could paint anything, dude. It's like, yeah, but we didn't say cows and gum trees. You did not say cows and gum trees. So what gives? So I think deep down we all know what we want to be doing, but there's always this underlying fear. It's like, I'm not going to be good enough. I'm not going to be accepted. It's not going to land. It's already been done. The world's already saturated. There's too many people doing it. Ignore all that stuff. You just focus on the love. I'm telling you, it sounds simple and it sounds trite and just, but it's true, man. It's true. And I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going back into Rantville. I got a one-way ticket to Rantville.
Cool. I'll move you from Rantville to a question from Michael then.
Cool.
With realistic paintings, how do you decide when a painting is finished? When you've added enough detail? Question mark.
I think, again, the goal, you need to begin with the end in mind. What is the end of this journey that you're on with that given painting? What does it look like? When will you know if you've captured the scene? There's something we've got to do, and it's continually stand up, get up out of the stool, look at your painting from a distance, and start to let that painting speak to you and see how it reads. Does it read well? If it's reading, and by that I mean, we're not talking about reading, we're talking about painting here. But if it's actually translating, then you're onto it. So you start to become better at that. It took me a long time to kind of learn where that aesthetic, that finish, that resolve was for me when I first started, but you get better at it. So also it's a matter of putting more paintings under your belt, just getting a lot more done. And just the more volume of work that you're accumulating there and working towards, the more you start to learn, yeah, this is my language. This is how I like to do the do. So yeah. Keep going. Keep going. Don't stop.
Cool. A question from Kami. Evening from South Africa.
Hello to South Africa. Kami?
Kami?
Okay, I hope we're pronouncing that right.
I hope so.
hit me with it.
Okay. For this type of scene, would black and yellow be recommended for greens?
Black and yellow is a great combination. My buddy Kathleen Hudson uses black and yellow. Also, Joe Paquette, another buddy of mine, uses ivory black, and it can be a great green. Now, you'll notice on my palette, I don't actually have black. I tend not to use black. It's not that it's wrong to use black. It's just not my preference. I like to mix my black. That's just my approach. Because I want to create a living black. I find that ivory black, whilst it's handy and you can create a great green with the yellow, particularly cadmium and the ivory black, it can work. I like to mix. It's just my preference. But could that work? Absolutely.
Potentially. Also, with your subject matter being landscapes as well, that it's very rare to find naturally occurring like these perfect blacks. It's generally going to skew to a warm or a cool side. Yeah,
and it's also might have a color bias to it as well as a temperature shift. So on that note, like I tend to push and pull those blacks, whether I shift them to the red, to the brown, to the green, to the blue, just depending on what it is that we're talking about here. But also black is something that I would say is relative. Like even a black on a TV screen, you'll see something that is black, that is black, that is black, but the TV is actually emitting light. It's not truly black, but it looks black relative to what else is on the screen. So it's a relationship thing. If my tonal range, if everything is diminished and raised in terms of value, so those darker registers are brought up, as long as something else is lighter than that, that other register will always register as darker by comparison. And so you tend to paint more in a range, painting this way. And so black being relative, as long as my tones down here are just darker, then whatever's beyond here, we could get that to look black. And it's almost approaching black. It's just phthalo green, a little magenta, and a little bit of burnt umber in there. So on that note, I'm going to take another short little break here. I'll be right back with you for the last hour. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Again, if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, and we'll be right back with you.
Hey, you want to know the best way to improve your art? It's Tisch Academy. Now, why do I say that? Well, because I know what we're sitting on here. It's just awesome. But let me take a minute and share with you some questions that I get asked all the time about this unique platform. I've tried other art schools. How is Tisch Academy different? Now, I could talk to you about all kinds of things, you know, the sheer volume of the content that we put up on the Academy, also the variety in all of the videos that we offer. But probably the single biggest thing that makes this platform different is the attention to detail. You're going to be armed with the techniques and the information, no stone left unturned. I'm going to give you the skills and areas that you need to develop within your art to see that next level. It's not just another lesson to help you improve your painting. We genuinely want to see you succeed with your art. Now look, I've been in this space for a little while and I've seen the way some other artists do it. There's some good ones out there, but I have seen a lot of people gatekeeping, not actually sharing with you the real skills and techniques. You're going to find very quickly, I have no secrets. This is exactly what I'm going to share with you. What exactly will I learn? We've got such a variety of content on Tisch Academy, from landscapes to portraits to still life. And we also go live every week, sometimes twice a week. But that's not all. We also have our critique videos and our art business course. So if you're looking at just improving one aspect of painting, or you want to push things a bit further, well, we've got some courses that will keep you covered. How will I be supported in my journey? One of the best things about our academy, Tisch Academy, is the community. When you upload your work to the community section, you're going to be blown away by the encouragement and support you'll receive. But not only that, you'll have me here and my team helping you along the way if you run into any issues. And this is one of those places that I actually respond to my DMs, so you can reach me directly through the academy. Do I have to paint in oils? Not at all. Look, you might be a watercolorist, a pastel artist, or an acrylic painter. Whilst we don't post tutorials with those mediums, you're going to find that a lot of the overarching fundamentals, something we talk about a lot, will definitely translate to other materials. But there is something that we're working on here in the background, much more drawing content and also other mediums, so stay tuned. Do you teach only landscapes? No, as I mentioned, there's so much more content on the Academy. We also have seascapes, still lifes, and portraiture, as well as some of that good old art business and art philosophy as well. Do I have to be an advanced painter? Regardless of where you are in your art journey, if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, there will be content there for you to help you improve on your skills and help you grow from where you stand today. Check out our Oil Painting Fundamentals course or How to Paint Trees Beginner to Pro. You'll find a lot of these courses start off with relatively straightforward techniques and then build on those techniques into bigger, fully fledged scenes. What if I run into issues? Is there any tech support available? One thing we kind of pride ourselves on is our care of the people that are joining. Our members mean everything to us. If you run into anything like tech support issues, or if you have any questions with any of the courses or the material that you're learning, then we make ourselves available to answer those questions and help you along in your art journey. Reach out to us at any time and one of our team members will be able to assist you with whatever you're struggling with. How much is it? Well, when you consider how much we're offering, it's pretty vast. We've just done a calculation and we've got well over 500 hours of content up on Tisch Academy right now. That's more painting material than you can shake a brush at. And so with that, we have a monthly subscription. And you can either join the studio tier at $15 per month or our Academy VIP tier at $25 per month. But if you buy a full year, then with the Academy, you get 35% off. And I'm just going to throw this in here. I get a lot of messages all the time from our members going, man, this is the equivalent of a college degree in art, more than. Like, how can you afford to do it for so little? We do this because we absolutely love it, and we want to make sure that you grow as an artist and that you're really loving your experience too. What if I decide it's not for me? Hey, listen, I hear you. And look, sometimes that can happen. So at any time within your first 30 days, we offer a full money back guarantee. If you decide that Tisch Academy is not quite what you're looking for, no problem at all. We'll give you all your money back, no questions asked. How do I join? All right, all you got to do is click that link in the description down below. That'll take you over to the Tisch Academy homepage, and you can sign up from there, and signing up takes just seconds. I can't wait to see you in the Academy. Now, let's get back to the live stream.
One, go.
Hey, we're back. Hey, thanks so much again. Just had a short break. I freshened up my cup of coffee. I've been talking for a couple hours now. Enjoy your cup of coffee. There you go. Hey, welcome back. Maybe to talk better, I need to have some more of this. Oh my goodness. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so let's carry on. Now we're going to start to hone in and play with this light. Let's talk about it. And this is where color is going to be a little bit more important. I'm happy with how the block-in's going and the scene's fleshed out. I'm feeling a lot better about it. One issue that I was having was with that tree on the edge. I'm also just having a little bit with this tree here. It's a little prominent, and I'm going to obscure it with a sapling. Might do it in this session, might be in the next session. Depends how we go for time. But right now, let's hone in on this light. I'll add a few more marks of color here down to the foreground, getting these lush ferns. And Nick, we had a question from Jesse that I noticed just on break that was a really interesting one about traditional matte paintings on glass back in the day.
Yeah,
I might riff on that for a second because I love that. When I first started painting, I initially, when I was a young fella, I watched a lot of movies growing up. Your classic sci-fi, you know, Dune, Blade Runner, the Alien franchise, Star Wars, and then other things like, you know, Treasure Island and a lot of the Disney classics as well. And there was an artist that worked with Walt Disney directly. His name was Peter Ellenshaw. And Peter Ellenshaw was a traditional matte painter. He painted actual paintings on glass. So back in the day, if you needed a castle or a Roman city or a shipwreck or whatever, an artist actually had to paint that. Now, as a young guy, when I was looking at that, I was thinking, man, you mean there's somebody that can paint so well that it can totally fool the eye, and you're watching a movie and you think it's real? What? What are you talking about? And then I was like, whoa, and I just wanted to be a matte painter. And then as I was going through school, the shift happened. It went from physical paintings to on glass to digital, Nick. But I have a print on the wall of Peter Ellenshaw, a little seascape, because he went on to be a fine artist after his matte painting days, and it was a brilliant painter. And I got this seascape to remind me of the good old days of matte painting and cinema. But now it's all digital. I mean, now they're probably prompting a lot of these backgrounds, aren't they, Nick?
That is definitely what is now happening. We have definitely seen a lot of layoffs in the space. Whether that's due to some of the movies not performing as well as they have in the past, or also downsizing because outsourcing to computers to do the work, essentially. But yeah, I was on the edge of that change too, very similar, that because everything moved to a lot of digital and a lot of photography as well, really based in order to do that. Because the problem is really, well, it was when you did that shift from having to capture everything in frame to being able to composite your image.
Right. Yeah.
And that was really being able to composite. You were able to take photograph from one scene and then bring them together, which definitely completely changed the way we've done things. But we've seen this with model making as well in the film space as well. Everything used
Miniatures.
to be miniatures.
Yeah.
Everything was done. It's like mirrors and miniatures back in the day, right?
Dude, Lord of the Rings miniatures blew my mind.
That's the crazy thing of Lord of the Rings was actually on the edge of digital at the time. The first film, like digital film in the sense of compositing and all that world, was really early days, which seems crazy now.
Yeah.
So that's probably why a lot of it is miniatures in there too.
Yeah, yeah. But interesting question. Anyway, hit me with another one. That's a super interesting topic.
Yeah. From Jonathan, what's a good easel to use for plein air painting?
Oh, I got to say, shout out to Ben White. I love Alla Prima Pochade. That is my absolute favorite. I've used a bunch. I've had a bunch of different people send me boxes over the years, but I got to say, you just can't touch an Alla Prima Pochade. Not a sponsor, just love using his product. My favorite is the Blackfoot, which is the 8x10 box. I have had mine for over 10 years and not a thing wrong with it. It's still solid as the day I bought it. It's a little more dinged up and covered in paint, but man, I love that box. So I highly recommend that. It's a very convenient little setup. Clips to a camera tripod. You can throw it in your rucksack and go for a hike and paint on top of the mountain. It's amazing.
For a starting artist, would you recommend anything different? Just trying to figure out?
Our students on the plein air art tours here in New Zealand, which I'd love to plug, but we're now sold out. There is a waiting list. If you go to andrewtischler.com and hit the art tours page, there is a waiting list or a cancellation list. If we do have anybody that drops off, you can go ahead and join that if you want to paint with me here in New Zealand for 10 days and stay in some luxury accommodation. But all of our students on that tour use the Meaden Pochade box. A little bulky, a little heavy, but I've had nothing but good reports on it. So we've used that. It's just a cost-effective way of going, and Meaden do a pretty good job. So entry level, I'd recommend that one.
Because I think there's something nice in the sense of starting out. Like I find for myself that equipment is that I would get something relatively simple early on. And then once I've gone, cool, this is something I'm using, something I'm really loving, enjoying. Hey, let me get something good that'll now stand the test of time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So jump in at an entry level for a couple $100 if it costs that. I can't remember what the Meaden box costs. But then, yeah, upgrade as you figure out that you love it. And I'd say plein air, initially, it's very clunky, it's very awkward, it's very difficult, but you learn to love it and embrace it. For me, it's an essential part of my practice. I really enjoy it. But yeah, dare I say, start off small and just figure it out a little bit, learn the ropes, take some demos, take some courses on Tisch Academy, and then guaranteed you'll catch the plein air bug and then invest in better material as you go. Or if you know you're just committed and you're going to lock in, just jump straight to the Alla Prima Pochade box. Cool. Now, by the way, I've added something here. You might notice a little bit more heat coming through this green combination. I've started adding a touch of Indian yellow, just a touch more, just to raise the temperature on that green as I go here. So over here on the palette, bit of that cadmium lemon, a little bit of that Indian yellow right there. I might even add a little bit of cadmium red light. What? Yeah, cadmium red light. Just get a punch of heat. I'm going for a heat effect. I want to raise the temperature and I want to work into this color a little bit.
Got a question here from Anne Green.
Oh, what's up, Anne?
The area in the foreground that you're working on now.
Yeah.
Will you be making it the lightest focal point in the scene?
Yes. Yes. It might be at a similar value to some of the sky holes that are above, like up here. But in this area, because of contrast, I think it's going to weigh more visually and thus draw the eye. That's my intention anyway. Let's see if we can do it. We'll do it live. Good chat today, man. I'm enjoying it. I love this, Nick. Are you having fun, Nick?
I'm having good fun.
You are? Cool.
Anne was just asking what things were miniatures in Lord of the Rings.
Minas Tirith, the castle that the big settlement there that was buried into the side of a mountain. They built a miniature of that. There were all sorts of Hobbiton type scenes that were miniatures. So I went to an exhibition that was showing at a place in Wellington called Te Papa way back in 2003. This was just when the second one was released, which was, what's the second one? Fellowship, and you got...
Two Towers?
The Two Towers, yeah, just after the Two Towers. So the third one wasn't even out yet, which was Return of the King, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they, Weta Workshops that were the visual effects company behind that movie, they showcased their models and miniatures and all sorts, and it was epic, dude, epic. The tower, Saruman's tower, was an actual model.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely was. I think this is about Prashad Boxes, this one. How about Gorilla Box? I haven't heard of it. So.
Haven't used it. A few of my students have used it, and I see all kinds of setups on tour, and I'm like, hey, that's cool. Where'd you get that from? And start chatting to people about what they're using. So yeah, I've heard good things about it, but personally have not used it.
Michael was wondering, have you ever done a planar of a sunset?
No. Yes, I have, in Kinnaperu Sound. It's one of my first modules on Tisch Academy. What am I talking about?
There you go. I remember Kathleen did one, and it's that whole thing. The sun was just running away on her on that one. And
she's quick, dude.
She slapped
that
in
paint
that color.
down, man.
She was like, I've just got to get color at this point. She's like, I can come back and get all the other things. It's like quick, get a photo reference, but get all that tone.
Dude, as I was watching her do that, there was an audible shift from slinging paint to slapping paint. It was I
think that's
impressive.
where the shift happens from earlier, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I think that is probably where you call it slapping paint, right?
That's it, man. That's it. It's a challenge, I tell you what. So now I'm going to work a little bit of cool and dark, working around the thing. I'm just playing with shapes and broken marks. In a live stream a while ago on the Academy, I was referring to this as almost visual noise, which is kind of weird, but I'm making shapes that are suggestive of debris that's laying on the forest floor. So mixing up my darks and my lights and just coming through maybe with a couple of sticks here and there and just breaking it up. It's just covered in debris. And I'll be inspired by these shapes in the next phase, in the detail phase, and I might go, I'm going to turn that into a branch or a root or a twig or a leaf or maybe a fern frond right there, but just breaking it up. Visual noise, surface scattering. Nick, hit me. Come on. Keep them coming, brother. Keep them coming.
Keep them coming. Arnaldo. He's
Arnaldo, shout out to my brother.
Will you have the image links ready by tomorrow so I can download them?
They're ready now, Arnaldo. They're up there now. Go to your live stream section in the library on Tisch Academy. I had Jim upload those immediately. And so we'll be going again for, I actually, it's going to be a 6-hour live stream for you guys on Tisch Academy VIP on Tuesday. I was just saying to Jim, let's go 6 hours. Let's do it.
Let's just up it. Let's just go full send. There is
full send, man. We got a lot of fern fronds and leaves and twigs, and we're gonna geek out on this forest scene. Now I'm just adding a little bit of lighter tone. It's a little bit cooler, but that pop and that contrast is just allowing that to just glow a little bit more. So I'm over here on the palette. I've actually mixed it into my sky blue. I got a little bit of nickel yellow deep, a little bit of lead white, a little bit of titanium, and it's just a pop. A little bit cooler than what it's going over, but it's providing a nice little bit of contrast. That sun glinting off a couple of glossy leaves there. Oh yeah, come on. Can you feel it? All right. Sorry, I get into it. I think if you're not getting into it, you might be doing it wrong. You got to get into it.
Josephine was asking, how do I get into that 6-hour live stream?
Oh, you joined the Academy. Click the link down below. Sign up for Tisch Academy VIP. Get yourself 30% off.
So what? That'll be on Tuesday next?
It'll
Tuesday,
be our
New Zealand.
Tuesday here in New Zealand. If you're in the U.S., was that Josephine?
Yeah.
If you're in the U.S., Josephine, or if you're in Europe, where in the world are you? So it's at New Zealand time. It'll be 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. We're going to go live from 7 till 1. If you're in the U.S., we do provide time converter links so you can convert your time zone and you can tune in live. And you can watch that live. And the replays are always up on Tisch Academy. We keep them in the library so you can catch up if you're not able to watch live.
And then I think we send out an email.
We send out emails. Yep.
Emails day before. Also give you
hour before as well.
So if you're on that studio tier, no VIP tier, sorry, VIP tier, definitely all in there. Yeah, I got a bit of a philosophical one.
Oh, hit me, dude! Come on,
let's do it. Okay. I cannot pronounce the name. Shuravo from India.
Yeah. Let me have a crack at it. Where are we?
It's a little bit back.
A little bit back. Okay. Yeah. Go on. Hit me with it.
As artists mature, should they become better craftsmen artists, better storytellers, or better philosophers? My paintings are philosophical, but I paint realistic.
Okay, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with combining realism with philosophy. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are, you know, they look at realist painting, they go, oh, ho hum, there's nothing there, and blah blah blah, and it's been done, and it's not very deep or whatever. I just ignore those people. It's all good. You just again do what you love, do you, and it's all valid. It's all great. Even the abstract stuff is valid. It's just not for me, so I don't tend to. Well, when I say I don't pay attention to it, clearly I do. Maybe I'm a little bit hypocritical. Actually, Nick, if I'm honest, bananas taped to walls does drive me freaking mental.
That is a trigger for you?
I'm so triggered, dude.
So if I went and taped a banana to your wall at your house, that
immediately
you would rip
dismissal.
it off immediately?
Immediately, yeah, absolutely. That's grounds for firing right there. Read your contract, bro.
That's just a straight hard and fast one. That's not, I got to do it 3 times.
No, there's no 3-strike policy with me. You do that once.
Banana and the tailpipes are fine though.
Oh, come on, stop it, Axel Foley. So, what was the question?
About let me go back to it. It was about being philosophical.
Being philosophical. I think again, just keep practicing your craft. Keep doing your exercises. Your visual kind of workouts in a way. I'm happy with the way that light's coming through. I'm happy with it, I must say. So I might just pull back just a little bit here. So again, I think learning the visual language and learning how to wield that paint and developing skill is really important. And that skill should allow you to carry your painting whatever direction you want to go in. And again, it's all valid and it's all fine. You just got to be authentic, be you, and be real. The kiss of death is when you lose authenticity and you're now trying to be something that you're not or pander to an audience. You know, it's a recipe for misery. We've seen that happen to a lot of painters. I know of several that I've personally met and heard stories about other people and read biographies or, you know, autobiographies and stuff of people that have lost the train. So authenticity, again, just to really hopefully drive that home, authenticity is key. But I'm going to put a cheeky little bit of light on the backside of this tree.
Question from Anthony.
But hang on.
Oh, no.
I just finished my point. So then, as you're learning the visual language and learning to slap that paint and learn to communicate exactly what you want, as you want, when you want, then what you want to say, becomes more and more dominant. But I'd really recommend learn to paint and push it. Sounds like you're already there. So whoever asked that, good question. I hope that helps. If you're looking for permission to do what you want and say what you want, well, then you got it from me. You're allowed. There you go.
Tish gave him a paint
I'm
pass.
Andrew Tischler, and I endorse this message. I approve this message.
Do you remember back in school, back in the day, how you used to get a pen license?
No.
No, that was never a thing for you. Okay.
No.
When you got to graduate from using pencils to using pens, you were given a pen license. I never received mine. So
dude.
I am illegally using my pen to this day.
I did not know that. Wow. Okay.
I'll
allow
it. You'll allow it. What is it? The Simpsons thing of wallet inspector.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't know they had wallet inspectors.
Hit me with another one.
Okay. Anthony's question. Hey Tish, what's the best way to handle when parts of your painting turn matte?
Perfect. And parts of my painting will turn matte on this one particularly. And also parts of my, depending, so in some of my dark passages, because I love umber and I use umber a lot, there's a lot of artists out there that don't like it for this reason, is that it's hungry for oil and the oil can seep into the surface and it become, it's almost like it goes through that surface and attaches to the ground, leaving an open surface that goes matte. So you'll have patches on your painting that go from gloss to matte to gloss to matte. So I don't tend to worry about it. I can address that with either a process called oiling in or retouch varnish. Also, a final varnish will sort it right out. So that's one way around it. A lot of that I talk about in my oil painting fundamentals course over on the Academy. Great question. I'm going to start working a little bit more on this tree. Dude. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Question, would you omit sunbeams or leave as it is?
Omit or emit?
Omit sunbeams.
Could do. I'm being a lot more selective. In my reference, I've got a lot more light in these scenes than will end up being in my painting because I really want to hone in on that contrast and make this light that's striking the forest floor special. So I'm going to really darken up everything else. But I do like just a little hint here and there, as long as that's dominant. But generally, I'm going to be darkening everything else down so that this appears special.
Because it's like, I was thinking the other day, we had that down here, we had a hyper fog roll in.
Yeah.
And as you come in the morning, it get these trees that get really, really backlit. And so as a result, you get these really, really strong sun rays coming through.
I will probably put in some sun rays, bro, to be honest.
And so it's that volume, what I would call volumetric lighting.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And so it's like, it's amazing how dense a fog, how much, even in a theater sense, like, we use hazing machines in theater in order to add atmospheric haze.
Yeah, right.
And it's interesting, like in your photo references, there's not as much atmospheric haze in there.
No.
But would you then bring in your own light rays because that's what you visualize and want to see?
100% I would. And that's another example of taking something and just pushing the idea further and constantly asking yourself, hey, what would make this really special right now? Now, you can add too much. You can complicate things by just putting in too many visual elements. But I think a nice, gentle illumination of whatever atmospheric haze I'm putting in by way of having a sunbeam that was highlighted here within reason. I don't want to make it too strong, but a subtle lighting effect with that beam coming down from above, I think would be really nice. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. My painting.
Yeah, I think that's the nice thing about, like, at the end of the day of what you're doing, you don't have to capture it 100% faithfully to an image. That's where the artistry comes in.
Exactly, dude, exactly. And weren't we talking about that at the very beginning,
I think so.
It's take that reference and use it. Use it as the underpinning, as the inspiration, but make it your own. Make it your own ultimately.
I can remember you did that on the Rob Roy piece. You were looking at it going, the glacier, it's currently sitting to the left.
Yeah.
It's sitting out of my kind of field of view for what I've chosen the composition.
Dude,
but I really want that.
You can move mountains, man.
You can definitely move mountains. Just takes a little bit of lead.
A little bit of lead. Yep. Just add a little bit of cool moss to the side of my tree. This is going to be a gnarly number. But across all those bumps and divots and bulges, there's going to be this cool moss reflecting a cool ambient light filtering down from that sky above.
Do you deep dive a bit into like different moss species and all that kind of thing when you're?
No, but I try to notice what I'm seeing in my reference. Sometimes it's important that you know about particular varieties of plants, you know, that were, you know, endemic to a particular area that you're painting. For instance, as I'm painting ferns, and I might have some great reference of light on a cycad. Cycads don't grow here. It's a different variety of fern, so I wouldn't put that in. That said, I am looking at doing a series of work here. I hope I can get to this. It's kind of like a dream at the moment, but doing a series of, I'm just calling it the Eden series, of like all kinds of different plants and animals that you wouldn't ordinarily get in the same scene, and just having this lush jungle of all these different species from everywhere.
Is this, Justin was wondering, is this going to be part of your tree series?
Not this one, not part of the tree series, no, but it will be up on the Academy. The tree series, man, that's coming along. The second part is working. You might even see over my shoulder here, these, hang on, other way, right there, these little studies on a big panel right there. I got so many different demos coming your way for the tree series. So stay tuned for that. Man, it's going to be, the second part of that course is a banger.
Question from Kathy. Painting along down the road in Cromwell, please give top tips for bark/moss texture.
Oh, dude. Okay, I'm gonna basically, but build it up in layers. Build it up in layers. Who's painting in the road to Cromwell? Kathy.
It was Kathy.
Kathy. Oh, g'day, Kathy. In Cromwell, dude, you're just down the road, Kathy.
Yeah.
Come into the gallery if you haven't already. But having done that mossy forest painting, you'll find that and this is a bit of a mossy forest in a way as well, isn't it? But build it up in layers. I'm building the underlying structure and volume right now, and I'm going to build that texture into it. You know, this is going to be a moss-clad tree here, and so I really want to hone in on that texture and structure, but it's going to be built up in layers. I want to get a root right there. Right there. That'll help bring the tree forward a little bit. I saw a need for it, Nick, right there.
Just needed that little.
I needed that right there, bro. Right there. Hey, there we go. Cool.
I always find it really cool on the walking tracks and stuff up here where you go hiking, you get all those roots that almost create those steps.
Oh, dude, yeah, they're gnarly, eh? A lot of these buttress roots, but then when they fan out over the paths, yeah, very cool.
A question from Anne. Would you consider putting some mushrooms, maybe those red ones with the little white spots?
Oh, Amanita muscaria.
The killer the killer mushrooms.
The killer mushrooms. I probably won't in this painting, but one thing I might do, which I think would be really cool, is maybe put some shelf fungus on the south side of these trees. So away from the light, you'll get these big shelves growing on some of the trees. That could be really cool. So I might do a bit of that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
It is one of those things in this country that we don't have animals that are going to poison you, but our mushrooms probably will.
Yeah.
It's unless you can identify it without a doubt. Don't eat wild mushrooms in this country.
Probably not a good idea. There were a lot of the red toadstools recently that were out and about and just beautiful. And I've painted them in the past. done some still lives featuring Amanita muscaria, was arranging them wearing some rubber gloves.
Because I think it's probably because we've had that cloud cover recently, and with all that fog as well, that higher moisture content in the air, that they definitely thriving at the moment.
Right. Yeah.
Question. Would you do a mystical series?
Define mystical. Like a fantasy type series?
Don't know.
I don't think I will. Fantasy is not a genre, or that it's not really a genre I'm into, just personally. However, I was actually considering. I got a book by a concept artist named John Harris from back in the day. It's called Mass, Mass, and he does these amazing scenes, sci-fi scenes of just huge architectural expanses.
Like brutalism, would you say?
Almost in a way.
Almost.
They're very minimalist. It's almost like it looks like they would have used some of his concepts in like the latest Blade Runner.
Definitely. Or even the original, to be honest.
Maybe the original, yeah. But he does some very interesting work. So I'm actually thinking about sci-fi. There's so much I want to do. I just there's a quote from Norman Rockwell. I don't have enough time to paint everything I want to paint. And I feel that, man. It bums me out, but at the same time, I think it's better than not having any idea. The next best problem is having too many ideas. So, but I'd like to do something like that. So never say never. I might be painting some sci-fi stuff.
Rowan had a question.
Who we got?
Rowan.
Rowan?
RAOVAAN.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Hit me.
When are you going to post to YouTube video about your artwork, the source that you did for Wanaka Water Foundation?
As soon as we finish the video. There's so many projects in the work, but it's definitely on the cards. It's a big edit and it's multi-parts to it. And so we really want to have the tutorial and Academy version ready for that before we post to YouTube. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. They obviously have the inside scoop of what's going on. And in fact, if Rowan, sorry if we're pronouncing that wrong. This is actually something that I'm going to be exhibiting as part of the Why Wanaka series, because this is part of the Wanaka catchment area forest that's in the Matukituki Valley. So it's part of the water cycle, is our forest here in New Zealand. You know, the precipitation hits this, filters through that ground into our waterways. And so having this type of environment is so vital. So I'm going to be including this in the series. So if you're from Y watching this, then there you go, heads up.
Cool. Question from Daisy.
All right.
Brackets Amy. So different account. So I read recently that putting red, especially cad red, makes paintings sell better. Your thoughts?
I don't know about that one.
Is this like the red Ferrari concept?
I don't know. Look, avoid trends. Again, lean into authenticity. Yeah. Be you. Avoid trends. Hard to do these days, but it's going to involve getting off the phone and just picking up the brush. All right? So I can't speak to that, but now that you say that, I might add a little bit of red to my painting. There we go.
Well, there's no shortcut, right?
No, not at all.
It's like, if it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
Well, I think what I want to do is show you that you can do this. You can do this.
True.
Look, is it easy? Maybe not easy, but there's definitely, if you have a methodology, if you have an approach, if there's a system, if there's steps in that system, you can work on every single step and just hone your skills, and get a little closer to that resolve that you're going for in your work. So I think that's one thing that we really breakdown on the Academy. So again, get yourself 30% off. Use code LIVE, link down below. Get yourself 30% off your first 3 months of Tisch Academy. If you've enjoyed this live stream, then this will give you a taste of what we do each and every week. But it's not just live streams. There's full courses on there. There's an art business course. There's critique videos. The best part of the Academy, though, is the community that you're going to be part of. Amazing people over on the Academy. If I could just ask my Tisch Academy people that are watching right now, hit me up in the live chat right now. Let people know what you think of Tisch Academy. If you've been enjoying yourself here, and I swear if you're watching this, if we haven't met before, I did not pay these people to say what they're about to say. Good or bad. But check it out. So there's a lot of material there. More painting content that you can shake a brush at. I tell you what, man.
It makes you sound real Texan.
Hey, man. I can't help it.
Question, how do you maintain a strong focal point using light without making the light feel artificial?
Well, that might be a little bit of a risk. We don't want the light to feel artificial in this. But I think, you know, having a little bit of a spread on it might help. So just a couple of little clips here and there. But as long as I make that dominant, so it's a relationship thing, relative to any other lighting that's in the scene, that needs to be strongest.
Classic Academy question here.
Oh, yeah, hit me.
Would you consider putting a squirrel in there at all?
We don't have squirrels in New Zealand.
We don't.
A ferret, a stoat, a marten, or a weasel, yes, they're all introduced and they're terrible. They're beautiful in their own natural environment, but they were introduced here in New Zealand to absolutely decimate the native birds. But, you know, there's an interesting question on the fauna side of things, not just flora, but fauna. You know, would you add any living element to the scene? And I might actually add a bird somewhere. Just somewhere. Maybe, you know, you get these black robins that hop along the forest floor.
Yeah.
It could be nice to have a little black robin in there. And, you know, finally here, just for this session, what I think I'd like to do here is just a couple of little glints of brighter tone and a little bit of higher chroma just to bring that out a little bit.
Oh, there's a great one here of a suggestion for an animal.
Oh, go on.
A raccoon with a little wizard hat.
Pass.
Yeah, like a bear. We have lots of those here.
Now, the animals that you might find wandering around the forest, again, you know, you get native New Zealand birds, but a lot of these are endangered species now, unfortunately. But we do have a lot of deer that were introduced. So you have red deer. In some other areas, you have elk here in New Zealand. But one painting I really want to do is actually a moose, Nick Maris, in Fiordland.
Yeah, the Fiordland moose.
The Fiordland moose. Back in the day, there was a population released in Fiordland, and they became the stuff of legend because then they were never seen again. But in recent years, there have been 2 independent sightings, both from groups of Canadians that swear they saw a moose in Fiordland. It made the news and everything. It was pretty crazy. So
we're gonna go out and do an adventure.
I'd like to, man.
It would be fun.
I don't think we're gonna see it, but can you imagine, dude?
You think we can convince Joe to dress up in a moose outfit and just like run across the shot or something?
Dude, I don't even think you'd have to pay him to do that. I think he would just do it.
Do it for free.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, hey, that's about time. Hey, I just want to say, huge thank you for tuning in. Again, if we haven't met before, my name's Andrew Tischler. I like to paint stuff, and I like to help people improve their painting. That's what I think I was put on this earth to do. So if you've enjoyed this, if you've gotten anything out of this live stream, then hey, hit the like button. Leave me a comment down below. Thanks for stopping by the studio. I've really enjoyed your company. We have now covered this scene. There's a lot more details that I'm going to be adding to this. I'm going to do that in the next live stream for my Tisch Academy folks. Again, if you're watching the replay, you want to know what that's all about. all you got to do is hit the button, hit that link in the description down below and check it out. Tisch.academy, Tisch.academy. Click the link down below, check it out, and get 30% off your first 3 months. But hey, that's going to do it for today. We painted a lot. Let's take another look at the painting. We worked over the top of a bistre underpainting. So I covered my canvas with an imprimatura, then went over that with transparent red oxide, transparent yellow oxide, and then starting with the distance first, working my way forward, I was thinking about my line and shape, my value, my color, and my edges, initially with this first layer of paint, trying to create that sense of depth, light, form, and material. But that's going to do it for today. Thanks again for stopping by, and once again, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button. Leave me a comment below. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you're not already subscribed. I would really appreciate it. And share this on social media. Hey, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Well, that's going to do it for me here in the studio, and I'll see you again in the next one.